Yeah, no problem. We're definitely pushing our way through a very interesting week. No banana.
Yes. Yes, we are. Very interesting week. I was starting to get a little bit more hope back, a little more hopium back this morning. Oh, I know what happened. I know what happened, I think, is I didn't refresh my screen on my YouTube. This is all jacked up here just for a minute.
Yeah, no problem.
How you going, Banana? Zen team?
Hi, Coon Dog.
What's up, Coon?
What's up? Nice to see faces in here early. It's been a wild week on Pulse Stream, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, it paid us pretty well, though, with the volatility. I loved the rewards that were coming in.
Yeah, right. I haven't even checked. That's great. Always positive.
I even had to compound my rewards back because I always do that on Monday morning. And I think I did it again on Wednesday morning. I was like, oh, I'm throwing this stuff back into the hopper, man, because it was significant enough. I was like, yeah, we'll just do it. Try to live by my words, you know?
Yeah, I've been in and out of a few different spaces this week, discussions, and it's been a wild week. I haven't seen people starting to question the motives of RH and everything that's happening more so than this week. But, you know, it's understandable because of where the price is at now and everything like that. But
to you know, everybody, I think most people are more emotional because timelines. Everybody had expectations for timelines. This cycle, you know, after Richard beat the SEC, he's going to come back, and he's not doing anything that anybody ever expected him to do, right? Yeah. Expectations are a bitch, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly the opposite, actually. So everything that everyone thought been the opposite, it's happened and played out the opposite to what.
Yep. We sacrificed on a have no expectations.
That's right, man.
Well, welcome to No Expectation Bill, guys.
Damn, that's like I gotcha moment, for sure. Yeah, but on a serious note though, like it's just it's like the real, you know, investors that are holding the line on Pulse Chain and the ones that are here now, that the reality is that most of us don't have, like we've expended all of our funds, or the funds that we wanted to invest into this ecosystem and crypto. And yeah, there might be some funds available that we can, you know, scramble to sacrifice for this or whatever. But the main thing is that the majority of us don't even want to let go of our cause because of the fact that we have belief in those, you know, and you don't want to just go for the next new kid on the block.
Well, I think that's right. I'm not sacrificing a dime for this damn thing.
No, neither.
Yeah, and I'm one of the biggest proponents of the chain, and I actually think the tech is very cool. But I see zero reason to put money into that. I can buy the token later, if you know.
But you know, Mando, I've never seen anyone question as much now this week as now really questioning, is RH even ever going to even think about using the sacrifice funds to re-inject into this ecosystem to, you know, to bring awareness to, you know, via green candles to the outside investors that aren't in yet to start piling in. So that's very, like, you know, that's very interesting. I've never seen that before, and I'm only here, like, I'm really seeing that this week. But I don't buy into that. I still believe that it's about the broader cycle. It's still because ETH hasn't done what it needed to do, or hasn't needed to do yet for you know, for the leader to be able to do what he needs to do, and he's not going to go against the current and just throw dollars where there's just going to be sold off very, very easily and quickly by individuals. So, yeah, I still stand by that belief, but it's hard.
It's been interesting, Kuhn, because the cycle start. You know how there's that saying. You know, we talk about a lot of the subscriber calls. About, you know, this time it's different, right? This time it's different. But here's the funny thing. Here's the interesting thing. This Bitcoin cycle actually started different. And it started different when Bitcoin did something it had never done before, which was front run a new all-time high before Bitcoin happened.
That's true. That's the first thing.
That is a massive indicator of something different, and it went way higher than its previous all-time high before this. So when we talk about this time it's different, it started completely different.
You know what's also different, Mando? I'm gonna you know, add to that. So there's that. That's the key one. Then secondly, there hasn't been massive retracements in percentage on BTC. So that's a second different thing. It's been sort of stair-stepping its way up and hasn't done anything larger than a 30% retracement. Third different thing is that, you know, the ETFs have actually brought larger corporations into purchasing BTC. So therefore you haven't really got that retail mania come in. So that's another different thing also. And with the retail mania, that actually lends to the, you know, the larger retracements and corrections before it starts going up again. So that hasn't happened. You know, there's a few things that are actually different, and I don't want to be the one to say, yeah, this cycle's different, and it's not a 4-year cycle, whatever, because I still believe
the cycle is different. Whether it's a 4-year cycle or not remains to be seen. We're already past the actual time of a 4-year cycle.
Yeah, correct. Wasn't it on the day that BTC hit the 126K mark?
Yeah,
the 4-year cycle should have.
Yeah, we're past it.
We're past it.
Bitcoin's acting just like it's just another normal day here on a standard retracement. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So in probabilities, like, because you can only look at marketing probabilities, it's probable, or it's possible, percentage-wise, that Bitcoin has already topped out. But I feel personally, my personal interpretation of the markets and the global, you know, the global factors, that Bitcoin hasn't hit its all-time high, you know, in 2025 to 2026, and it is going to make another run. And just when is that? Is that in December? Is that after Christmas? You know, it's yet to be seen. But yeah, I reckon.
The other thing I'm thinking about too, man, is, you know, I don't like the way RH operates. You know, I loved the old RH. You know, obviously everybody did. That's why we all kind of came. I don't like how it's happening now. But we don't know what's actually happening and the whys and I'd imagine that, you know, he would love to do all that stuff. But you know, Richard is not God. He's not God. He is not God. He's far from it. He doesn't control markets. He doesn't control the price of Etherscan and the sham that it is, and the monopoly that is. He doesn't control. He couldn't control. Bitcoin front running a halving and that changing. The mindset of everything. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes when he top blasted ETH when he should have bought lower.
Right. Well, he picked
couldn't
ETH
control
instead of
the
BTC.
SEC. Couldn't control the SEC coming after him and doing everything that did and having to spend 2 years. So it's like he couldn't control ETH not doing anything in performing. Who thought ETH was gonna not even break an all-time high basically this cycle? Nobody.
Yeah, he's not perfect, man. They could have picked BTC over ETH, and we'd be in a much different position right now. But yeah, it is what it is.
So I guess my thing is just timing, and it's just do you believe that what's going on is legitimate, or in this longer term, do you factor in all of the realities that are not in a person's control?
No, it's legitimate, man. Me speaking my thoughts, that's legitimate. I think it really has majority to do with the PMI, the fact that the industry PMI being under 50, just hasn't allowed risk on assets to run. If you look at the PMI chart over the last whatever years it is, and you look at the BTC dominance chart, and you overlay those two graphs, then you actually see that the trend is almost, it's correlated almost 100% for risk on assets, and then the PMI being above sort of 55 to 60 for risk on assets to run. So yeah, I think he is just a cog in the wheel to the wider forces of the market, and really it comes down to going back to basics. If ETH hasn't hit a certain level, then he's not deploying because it would be going against the grain. That's it, going against the tide.
Yeah, I mean, you would be deploying assets that are undervalued, essentially.
Exactly.
Because you're not willing to wait.
Because who's holding a bag of Pulse Chain, pTGC, Hex at these levels and wanting to let go of it? I'm not. You're not. Why would he want to let go of his ETH, under where he purchased it, or even just above where he purchased it? If he knows, or if he's so confident and has so much belief that ETH is undervalued and it's worth at least 6, 7, 8K per coin. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Decentralized Wealth says that RH's Twitter account has been gaining followers, about 100 a day right now. So I remember when Richard was under 100,000 because he was streaming. He's like, let's get me over 100,000. So I'm doing some quick math to see what he has averaged over the last 4 years and see if maybe that's
his X account or
yep,
his YouTube account?
His X account. So in the past 4 years, he has averaged 181 per day. So if he's stacking 100 per day now, he's that's less. But it stands to reason that, we're not adding as many followers on our Twitter accounts right now because we've been in a bear market. It's been really bleak over here. So that totally explains it to me.
I would say it's less just because retail isn't flowing into crypto right now. And
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't really been flowing into crypto this whole bull market. I think CZ even made a comment about last bull cycle, he picked up millions of followers. And this bull cycle, he can barely pick up 1 million. So what that tells him is no new retail users have actually came into crypto. So I would assume the same is for Richard. Maybe that, the math that you just pulled, the 4 years versus the average, probably 4 years ago, he was picking up thousands of followers a day when there was new retail flowing around. And that's proof that there's just less people here right now. He's obviously on a campaign going after other assets on other chains. You see him kind of commenting on some of the largest tokens that exist, letting them know that he has a new sacrifice going on. So he's very, very active in that art. And it really reminds me of the Pulse Chain and Pulse X sacrifice. He was very active kind of doing that with the Pulse Chain and Pulse X sacrifice.
Yeah, but it's it's all behind
how this one plays out.
Yeah, it's all behind an X account though, as opposed to just being that prolific live stream, major engager, in the industry. It's completely different though,
Which is not
100%.
Which is not to say he may have dipped well under 100 per day, and now he's increased to 100 or so per day. What I noticed in the Telegram this morning was about 5 new. It says new, and I want to ask you about this new pTGC purchases, totaling about I think it's $13,000 worth of pTGC. Are those? I assume those are new wallets, but is that a safe assumption? Or is there more to it?
No, as far as I look, they look like new wallets. I didn't dig into them. It wasn't a bot or anything like that.
Yeah, it looked like new wallets to me.
Okay, I love that token distribution. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's I think a really good talking point. Especially because where we're at Pulse Chain is very, very close to those all-time low levels. And if Bitcoin kind of keeps going down, or if ETH keeps going down, there's a possibility that Pulse Chain makes all-time lows. And what does that mean for Pulse Chain? What does that mean for pTGC? And how can we take advantage of these certain situations, and look at the silver linings of situations that we thought weren't going to be here at these times. I think all of us thought we were going to have a really nice bull run on Pulse Chain by this period, and it's quite the opposite. But for our ecosystem, we can look at some of the highlights of being at these low levels. For an example, if Pulse Chain was to go a little bit even where it is right now, what we're seeing is some of the lowest prices on pTGC that we've seen in like a year. So anyone that we know in real life, or anyone that's already in either DCA or on board at some of the best prices that we've seen on pTGC, this isn't necessarily because of pTGC, because of Pulse Chain, but in dollar value, it's giving extreme discounts. And where another thing that stands out to me is as Pulse Chain keeps going down, if it stays lower, what this is doing is it's making our liquidity worth less. And the less our liquidity is worth, the easier it becomes for us to do X's over the blockchain. So let's talk about a very difficult situation. Let's say you go to all-time lows and goes down another 50%. Well, that's going to drag our liquidity down by another 50%, which will technically half of our liquidity at. We'll still have the PLS tokens there and the other assets in there as far as quantity of tokens, but the dollar value will be less. And if our dollar value is less, our liquidity will be less. If liquidity is less, that means it takes half the amount of value to do the X's that we want over Pulse Chain. Right now, it takes I think $3.5 million to do a 10X against Pulse Chain. If Pulse Chain came down another 50%, it would take half that, 1.75.
Okay, Huds.
That's it. Only 1.75 million to do a 10X over Pulse Chain. If it goes even lower.
That's wonderful. I love it. Kay Hudson says, early Christmas gift to be at these levels. Everyone needs to get a Santa bag.
Well, I think that it's important to not just skip over that. I think it's important to talk about the fact that, for example, if pTGC is at a 6-to-1 against pulse chain, right, and we can do a 2x. Let's say we can take it to a 12-to-1. When pulse starts to go up, we've locked in a ratio that locks us into much more of an X multiplier in terms of market cap and price action versus if we're locked in at a 6-to-1 ratio. We were talking about this, I think, yesterday in the VC or the other day. And it's important to realize that the higher that we spread ourselves from the blockchain in terms of price, when the blockchain starts to go up, we lock in a ratio there. You know, there's obviously, you know, people can buy, people can sell, but you lock in a ratio that puts us in a much more powerful position than if we're at this level here. So when you thin out your liquidity, it makes it easier to do that. But I think that just like starting from right here, even, it's not the amount of liquidity that the system has currently right now, which is a lot, which is great still. I still don't think it's hard to push us up against it and to try to lock in a ratio before an uptrend. I still don't.
We've held about an average of about 6-to-1 pulse per pTGC since the 10th of October. So like over a month.
Yeah, Mando, I don't think it's difficult even right now. You know, I think right now where we're at, it's currently $3 to maybe $3.5 million to push us up 10x against Pulse Chain in the net positive inflow into pTGC. You know, 10x from here would be a 61 ratio. This would be far past all-time highs. And the reason it's easier now is because of that Pulse Chain pullback. Easier as far as quantity of dollar value. Obviously, there's a different kind of easy as Pulse Chain goes up because that means there's new value flowing throughout the chain. That means morale is better. So those are different metrics that make it maybe easier to onboard, easier to increase in price against Pulse Chain. But if we do the hard labor right now as far as onboarding or DCAing, getting our price up 10x in dollar value injected is 10 times easier because of the liquidity being sucked down. Mid-chain, did you have something?
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for bringing me up. I was wanting to know if Mando could explain or like expand on the idea of locking in a ratio. I guess like while we're here at the lows, like what are the actual mechanisms that are locking the pulse to pTGC ratio?
Yeah, so yeah, no problem. Love you, son. So you understand how reflexivity works, right?
Not 100%.
Okay. Zen, why don't you take the question real quick? Because you can answer it. I've got something I got to do real quick, and you know, I'll chime in on the back end.
Yeah. So Richard calls it reflexivity. I call it the X multiplier. I think it's easier for a lot of people to understand when you explain it in an X multiplier way. pTGC has a ratio against Pulse Chain. And the current ratio right now is so 6 Pulse Chain, 6 PLS equals 1 pTGC. Roughly a year ago or a little bit over a year ago, pTGC hit 1-to-1 with Pulse Chain. So since that time, we've been able to trend up 6x against Pulse Chain. Our all-time high was, I think, 22-to-1. So within the time period of last year, we went from 1-to-1 with Pulse Chain all the way up to 22-to-1 with Pulse Chain. So we were able to do a 22x against Pulse Chain. But if Pulse Chain then comes in and let's say, you know, starts to move and we've kind of locked in that 22-to-1 ratio, which would be a 22x from that 1-to-1 ratio. If Pulse Chain just came in and did a 10x, the pTGC holders 20x. So this is one of I call that the X multiplier. You're multiplying the X's that you can do against the blockchain by the X's that the blockchain is. Since the existence of pTGC, we haven't had a lot of situations where Pulse Chain has done a lot of X's, but we have had small glimpses of it. Like we've had a time period where Pulse Chain did like a 5x and we did a 10x against Pulse Chain. What this was for pTGC holders was a 50x. And as Pulse Chain goes up and as pTGC goes up, liquidity grows. So it actually starts becoming more difficult as far as dollar value goes to do X's against Pulse Chain just because it's going to take more economic energy pushed into. So now that we're back at the 6-to-1 ratio, but Pulse Chain is very, very near low levels, like all-time lows, it gives us a new opportunity. We're like, okay, well, how can we take advantage of this opportunity? It takes pretty much all-time low amounts for us to do X's over Pulse Chain right now. So how do we get value in is like the next question. Well, we can be DCAing, our community could be DCAing, or we can be onboarding from in real life people or from other chains are two great places, not just circulating the same value that's been on Pulse Chain for the last 2 years. I think that's our main problem right now is no new money is coming in, and the new money that does come in has been getting kind of washed by, people have been here for a while and just are tired, or people doing some degenning and just not doing it well and losing their value to people who do degen well, stuff like that. So locking in the ratio is you're not actually locking it in. It can fluctuate from buying and selling, but we have a unique opportunity to increase our ratio against Pulse Chain at these levels. And the more we can increase it now, we don't have to do that hard work later when prices are higher and liquidity is higher.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation, and I appreciate you taking the time to spell that out. I guess like where I was kind of balking a little bit was, my understanding is that the ratios are always fluctuating, right? So like to say that you're locking in something seems, I didn't know if there was something special happening behind the scenes that was actually going to do that, right? Because you're talking about how, okay, we were up to like a 22-to-1 ratio, but now we're back down to a 6, right? So like nothing was locked in. And I guess what I was having a hard time understanding is if, we're at a 6-to-1 right now, if we get up to a 10-to-1, that doesn't mean we're going to 10x Pulse Chain or Pulse when Pulse starts moving, right? Because if Pulse is moving, that doesn't inherently mean that pTGC is going to move as well, right? Like Pulse Chain.
No, so let me just preface it. Okay, so the reason why you go from a 22-to-1 is because people are selling pTGC back into the pool for Pulse Chain. Period. So the reason why we go from a 1-to-1 to a 22-to-1 is because more people are pushing Pulse into the pool to get pTGC, right? So the ratio is never locked in. The ratio is always going to be determined by, is there more people buying pTGC versus Pulse, or is there more people swapping pTGC back for Pulse? The point isn't to in your mind think anything is ever like coin A locked in and can't move, right? But just to envision, if we get to a point, would you say that at this level down here, we're kind of at this level down here, right? 6-to-1, 5-to-1. This is kind of a low for the chain. It's kind of a low for where we're at. So if, for example, we had new money come in, new users, current users just kind of buy up the chart, the Dow buys up the chart, and let's say for example, we go to a 12-to-1 ratio right now. We go up to a 12-to-1 ratio. And then let's say Pulse Chain 2x's. We locked in a 12-to-1. And when I say locked in, I don't mean it can't change. I just mean we were at a 12-to-1 ratio when Pulse Chain 2x'd versus a 6-to-1 ratio when pulse chain 2x. The liquidity is different. The market cap is different. The price is different. The valuation on the liquidity web is different. You see what I'm saying? So you lock in a higher valuation against the chain, and somebody can sell into that and make that ratio not a 12-to-1, an 11-to-1, a 10-to-1, but it's still better to try to achieve a higher spread from the actual chain value. That ratio, the 6-to-1 we're at now, it's better for the community to achieve a higher spread from that ratio before the chain goes back into an uptrend. It's just stronger, healthier, more robust for the ecosystem to have that happen. That's all that we need.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, I appreciate that explanation. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like the idea is that you're wanting to buy when there's the biggest, I guess, like symmetry between pulse and pTGC, right? So like a 6-to-1 would imply greater symmetry. That way, if history repeats and there is this disconnect where pTGC is actually gaining on pulse chain, you've locked in a lower ratio. Therefore, your value that you've put into the system is actually increasing compared to just like holding pulse chain.
Well, right. So it's personal based, right? So if I get in a 6-to-1, we've seen the system basically go from where it is now to basically like a 20+1 ratio twice already when the actual pulse chain turns on and the blockchain turns on.
That's right. Yeah.
So for the personal person that's looking at it like what's a good entry, it's obvious that we can't tell you what's a good entry, but just based off of numbers, a good entry is here. Because when the chain turns around, you can see that between new people constantly coming in, between what the Dow does, the revenue generation, and the chart going up due to reflexivity, we can go way higher than that against the blockchain. But if we can actually go higher right now, if we can go from a 6-to-1 to a 12-to-1 right now, and then Pulse Chains decides to do a 2 or 3x, right? Yeah, people can sell, but it puts the protocol at a stronger weighted position against the chain, and basically just helps turn everything on. It gets the money moving more, it gets the volume moving more, it enlarges our liquidity, it gives us a higher spread. Now we spread farther away from our liquidity. So if we all of a sudden started to just rip against Pulse Chain right now, and we doubled the ratio against Pulse Chain, we'd spread away from our liquidity. But that doesn't matter, because once Pulse Chain goes up, it gets more robust. But so it's not, just remember, it's not anybody saying anything's ever locked in the sense that it can't change. It's just inputs and outputs. And, anybody who's been around that knows how the system works knows that the more that we can do X above the chain before the chain moves, increases and thickens the liquidity, gets a lot of eyeballs on us, because obviously you're seeing something very successful happen on the chain that's in a very unfavorable environment. You have a lot more money moving to rebalance pools, all of those things that you know.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, pTGC has been honestly one of the most impressive coins on the chain to me. And Amanda, you and I have spoken about this in the past on different spaces, but it truly is just one of the premier tokens that seems to be holding or gaining value on the chain. And I think it's just a matter of time before we actually get eyes on it. Which kind of leads to a conversation that I'd like to have a little bit later if the space is still on. I got to run somewhere right now, but I appreciate you all taking the time to explain.
I would say, brother, thanks for coming in, but I would say that I think Grace is one of the most interesting and impressive tokens on any chain when you weigh in the environment it's been in and what it's had to do up to this point.
Yeah, I'll just add to that as well, Mitch. The one thing that is actually locked in this protocol is the burnt liquidity between the selected pairs. So if you want to use the word locked as an absolute, the burnt liquidity between pairs is locked. That's it. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, it's burnt.
It's burnt.
It's not
burnt.
even locked. Yeah.
It's burnt. It's gone. Yeah. And this pTGC has so much burnt liquidity between the selected pairs compared to any other tokens on the chain.
Zen, maybe you could just kind of chime in on just the landing the plane on that in terms of like what that does look like math wise. I don't know if that's what you're going to do anyway.
Yeah, there was one thing that stood out, what he was saying, and maybe it just came out a little bit weird, but I wanted to definitely like reconfirm what I think you were getting at with locked in. Because a lot of people don't really understand how these prices work and how these ratios work within these liquidity pools. And when you break them down to really simple terms, it really starts to make sense. And you can see how big, like assets like pTGC can become with the remote success of Pulse Chain, and why we're so focused on, hey, when prices are low, let's get this ratio up. What I wanted to explain is, so everything is ratio based. And if we have more buyers than sellers right now, our ratio against Pulse Chain is going to go up. And these buyers can come from, a lot of volume and volatility on the chain in our code just buying. It doesn't even need to be a human. It can just be our code buying up the chart, or it can be humans. People seeing that they think this is undervalued and they want to increase the price or get at those pTGC tokens and liquidity pools. But the important part is when Pulse Chain starts to go up, what we are locking in, which is not a guarantee, people can buy or sell, but the ratio. Because a lot of people, if let's say Pulse Chain is 4 zeros in a 2 right now, and it goes to 3 zeros in a 2, it does a 10x. So Pulse Chain's price 10x. But if we are still 12 to 1 or 6 to 1, if Pulse Chain does a 10x, we're still that same ratio. If we had an even amount of buyers and sellers in that time period. So a lot of people don't realize, they think, oh, when Pulse Chain goes up, well, that doesn't guarantee you that you're also going to go up in that time. The truth is, if we have an even amount of buyers and sellers when Pulse Chain goes up 10x, it is a guarantee. That's how these things function. So
yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to, I guess, maybe get to, was that the assumption here, in terms of like locking a ratio, the assumption is that buyers and sellers are the same. And that's what I was just wanting to make sure that I was understanding what was being said. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, and just for like looking into the past, when PLS has increased every time in the past, when PLS increases, what that means is there's more buyers coming into the chart, because PLS's price does not go up unless new users and new money is actually coming onto the chain. And every time new money has came onto the chain to push PLS's price up, a portion of that value has actually made its way to the alts on the chain along with pTGC. And the money doesn't even need to go to pTGC to increase the ratio of pTGC against Pulse Chain, because we also have pairings with Hex and PulseX and Most. So if any of these other assets start to increase over Pulse Chain as well, this also helps our ratio starting to increase, even if none of the new users come to pTGC specifically. In the past, a lot of that new money has actually made its way to pTGC. So every single time in the past we've seen Pulse Chain increase in price, we've actually seen our ratio of Pulse Chain increase as Pulse Chain was going up at the same time. And that's that X multiplier effect that's going on, or reflexivity. Because Pulse Chain going up is an indication of new users and new money coming in. And every single time that's happened in the past, a portion of that new money has came to pTGC or some of the pTGC liquidity web assets. And then automatically we're getting the Hart's Law effect from our ratio with Pulse Chain, because that's locked in. Of course, as we're moving up, people can sell into that chart, but if we're moving up, if Pulse Chain's moving up as a whole, what that actually means is there's more buyers coming into the chain than sellers leaving the chain. And the sustainable assets will have that same effect. But the point of being is like what we can lock in right now at these low levels is so important because the amount of dollar value it takes now compared to what it will cost after a 10x is a world of a difference. If it costs us $3 million to do a 10x right now, it could cost us near $30 million to do that 10x in the future. So if you're looking at it as like a community onboarding event, you're like, okay, we want to get in, we want to do a 10x over Pulse Chain at some point. Well, it technically costs us 10 times less value to do it at these low levels than doing it at higher levels. If we can accomplish our 10x against Pulse Chain now, well, then Pulse Chain just does the heavy lifting after the fact. But if we wait on Pulse Chain, and let's say we let Pulse Chain go first, well, now we have all the heavy lifting afterwards, and it actually costs us that much more energy because, you know, instead of onboarding just $3 million to get that 10x, we're now going to have to onboard $30 million because our liquidity has 10x.
Yeah, I got you. No, that makes a ton of sense. So yeah, once again, thank you. I got to bounce right now, but I'll hop back on. If y'all are
Appreciate you coming
around.
in, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the platform. Y'all take it easy.
So Zen,
Yeah, man.
you know, I think one thing that we could all do actually that would be pretty fun, actually. I mean, for people who are active on Pulse Chain, right, that are in the Grays community, I think one thing that we could all do is say, okay, we're all shitcoining, right? It doesn't matter how Armageddon the chain gets. A lot of us are just shitcoining constantly, right? Well, I know you don't, but a lot of us do.
I made a
We could all
post
say-
about it today, to be honest.
Yeah. But what we could do is, this is actually a simple, practical thing that we could do. What we could do is just say, okay, the starting number will be different for everybody. But we could say, okay, Mando's going to start with $5,000. And I'm going to take that $5,000 and I'm going to go shitcoin with it. This $5,000 is literally just to buy up the pTGC chart. Anytime that I make money, if I get into it and I double my money, boom, I buy $5,000. I'm left with $5,000. I just took $5,000 to pTGC off the market, right? And I have a side bag now of pTGC that I'm just buying up off the market. It's the best asset on Pulse Chain anyway. So what the hell is the reason why you would be doing it anyway? It's either get out of FUD or fear, uncertainty, or doubt or whatever. But if you're on Pulse Chain, that's retarded because you're on Pulse Chain. Unless you're leaving Pulse Chain, you're on Pulse Chain, guys. So it would be fun if we had like a I don't want to say a contest or anything like that. That's kind of dumb. I don't want to do that. But if we all just had a side, like whatever we could call it, where everybody just takes whatever, you can start off with $100, $1,000, whatever it is for you. And this bag is your pTGC challenge bag. Like how much can you
man.
trade into pTGC starting from this amount of money to take it off the market?
Yeah.
That's a very easy way for the people who are good at what they do on Pulse Chain to actually start stacking a fat stack, basically just from shitcoin gains, and jack up the ratio. You know, end of the day, man, there's nothing we can do about Pulse Chain. The only thing we can do as a community is make pTGC's price go up by buying it.
Springer Bench did that this week. He says, so glad I sold my, XYZ token profits and put them all into pTGC and UFO a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And, I put out that post the day before the chain nuked, and I told everybody to take their profits.
Yep.
And I could just see the writing on the wall, dude. And when I mean take profits, I mean put it in USD. I don't mean put it in pools or taking profits is put it in stables for right now, right? So you can see what's going to happen. But I'm going to actually open up a pTGC swing trade only bag I'm probably going to start it with like $5,000, and I'm going to shitcoin my way in to see how much freaking pTGC I can take off the market. And if anybody wants to do that,
Oh, that's a great
for
idea.
a fun kind of side thing that we could do together, I think that'd actually be pretty fun. And it removes all of the you having to put in more money or you having to do this or do that kind of a thing. It actually could just be something that we just do just to stack more grays if we're going to be on Pulse Chain.
Of course, I love that idea. That's a wonderful idea. It'd be cool if we could track it all, man. Then we could brag to the community about how much we.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun, right? Like have a who's the best trader in the Grays ecosystem.
They're
just freaking stacking. I know Guga would be up in that shit. Right? Guga would be up in there freaking trading his ass off.
And this is not anything. It's not anything unique. People have been doing this all along, man. But if you put an emphasis on it, then more people will be inclined.
But sentiment can't be more low than it is now. I mean, I guess it could always get lower, but I mean, not really.
It could get lower, but I'd say this is the lowest it's been in the last 2.4 years or however long Pulse Chain has been out.
Yeah, this is the lowest.
Yeah.
Mando, I did want to bring up just real quick, because I made a post kind of on this today, and it's almost it's a little bit contradicting to what you just said. But I do get what you're saying. People are going to be doing their casino trading, their crypto casino trading, for the most part, no matter what. What I was kind of making in my post is separate your bag out, right? Because what I've found in the last 2 years is people have started risking their main, real asset tokens for the crypto casino, and they're actually losing their real asset tokens to the crypto casino. Because the truth about the crypto casino is there's some good traders out there. There's people that this is their full-time job. They don't even need to go to work. And a lot of the value that they make leaves the chain, actually. It doesn't even stay on the chain. So if you are going to play the crypto casino world, kind of look at your portfolio and say, hey, this is my RH cores and my pTGC bags. This is just put away. This is the bag that I'll maybe play and try to speculate with. But don't just keep robbing the savings account to go to the casino to make back your losses. Yeah. This is how you literally wipe out your savings very, very quickly. It's been done so many times, and you have to kind of keep in mind who the people you're playing against are. And, I'll put Mando out there. Mando is obviously very, very good at trading. He makes money doing trading. Most people don't. So just be very, very careful. If you're someone who isn't as good at this atmosphere, because it is a player versus player atmosphere. And for there to be a winner, there always has to be a loser with most cryptocurrency. So I also wanted to just remind the community, yes, that is a good strategy, especially when you're at all-time lows and there should be a good uptrend and some movers. There's always going to be movers. And if you are someone who is good at that game, be good at that game and DCA the pTGC, the sustainable asset on Pulse Chain with those gains. On every other blockchain, this is what people do. They play the speculative assets and they move it into the store of value assets when they make gains. So I appreciate you bringing that up, is use pTGC as that store of value asset that you bring your gains into if you're good at that atmosphere. But if you're not good at that atmosphere, it doesn't hurt to just DCA or to just hold the things that you believe in long term. Because holding the things you believe in long term and not risking that value in a game that you aren't the best in is sometimes the play too. Because you have to remember, it's kind of like if you're not a good trader or good at the speculation plays, it's kind of like you playing poker against a professional poker player. Obviously, there is some luck involved, but you're playing against someone whose literal profession is this game, and it's player versus player. So I also just want to remind people to be careful and do your due diligence and don't just get addicted to the gambling side of the industry.
That's a fair point. Absolutely.
The reason why I brought it up is because it's just a practical way to, as a community, take more tokens off the market.
Yeah, and I agree. Most people are doing it anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the percentage of the people that are in the grays are actually like on-chain shitcoining. I don't know that because I don't ask people what they do. You know,
Yeah.
I know
Well,
a couple people what
we're
they do.
trying to increase the quantity of our holder base that is not even on chain, really. Like, we're really trying to increase the in real life holders that don't even have exposure to what's constantly happening on the chain, but just more long-term holders of specific, good assets like pTGC. But there definitely is a group of people who are on chain who are always looking for, ways to increase their portfolio by taking advantage of opportunities early. And I think that's mainly what you're bringing up, is if you're one of those people and you're here, if you do end in getting a good opportunity where you make some gains, rotate those gains into pTGC, because that's also not only possibly helping your portfolio, but helping the entire ecosystem portfolio as well.
So my brother-in-law, who is a very successful business person in Texas, he's been with pTGC since, I'd say, the first 2 months. He called me last night, and he's this far away from literally swapping everything he has on Pulse Chain into pTGC. And he's like, Mando, I've been watching this thing. I've actually spoken to a couple of VCs. I've been watching this thing. And he's like, I don't know why I'm even holding the damn.
Yep.
He's like, between how the thing works and the APY I'm getting and the pools, how they work, he knows how it works because he's my brother-in-law and I've explained it to him 15 times now. And it's just he hit me up out of the blue yesterday, and he's like, man, the thing is so strong for the thing for what Pulse Chain's gone through. Everything else, guys, I'm gonna say something. Look at what's on chain. Now, God bless everybody that's on chain. I hope everybody does good. But look at all the protocols that are on chain. Wrecked, rug pulled, liquidity pulled, gone.
Yeah, man. Can I just jump in as well?
Yeah.
Like even like, I feel sorry for the guy. Even Firewhale with Solid X, like that was a legitimate project, and he poured in, I don't know, millions of dollars to develop that X game, and get that protocol up and running, and then he just got absolutely cheated by his community. So and that was a real world.
I think the man tried to make something that was phenomenal. He literally lost millions of his own dollars.
Exactly, because of the community is just so down in the dumps on this chain at the moment that it's so hard to even get a strong community that holds and has that holding mentality past a $10 million market cap without just GDing it. So yeah, absolutely.
Kunai, I think it's fair to bring up, though, the Grays ecosystem has also had to endure its fair share of cheats as well. I think that just shows how powerful the machine behind pTGC actually is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have had, I think, less sellers than a lot of other protocols out there. It's just that we have a machine behind the scenes that is technically buying those users out of their positions slowly. Which separates us from 99% of crypto.
Yeah.
I'm just, just to complete my thought.
Sorry, man.
No, Kuhn, you're good. You can cut me off anytime, man. I'm honestly, guys, I've been here with all y'all on Pulse Chain with Richard from day one. what's on Pulse Chain that's worth a shit at this point?
Dude.
Period.
Yo. Yeah. Really?
What is on Pulse Chain that either isn't just completely rugged, down like 99.99%, all liquidity's pulled?
I think the tide
projects like
went out, dude.
Yeah,
this
some
week.
Of these projects like X Games, like with the Firewall, he sincerely wanted to make something cool.
Yeah.
It's just everything's just. But here we are, Grace, 40 million market cap, doing its thing still.
Even with the chain dumping hard over the last week.
6-1 against Pulse Chain, which is phenomenal still.
Yeah, it's
right?
Awesome.
I mean, I would love for like actual people to come up and talk about this, because what is this actually displaying at this point? This is displaying that pTGC's smart contracts are the premier store of value on Pulse Chain.
Yeah, it
I
shows
would
how
love
strong
anybody to come up
the
and
ecosystem
just debate it.
It shows how strong the ecosystem is.
100%.
And man, I've been thinking every day for the last 3 weeks, do I just flip all of my Pulse Chain into PTG?
Dude, I told Zen last night, I've got all my sacrifice money that have never moved. All of my sacrifice, and I put it in
Same here, man. That's the one I'm talking about.
And I'm sitting, and they're all in long-term capital gains positions, the whole 9 yards.
Same, bro.
And I'm like,
Same,
bro, it's tempting as hell right now.
Oh, it's so tempting.
I try to, it's like you got to keep them separated. You think in your head, you got to keep them separated, right? I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep them separated anymore.
Yeah. I'm focusing on a few things. Like there's, I've got a few real world onboards happening from no coiners. So that's keeping me a little bit occupied. Then there's, the craziness on Pulse Chain over the last week that, has been happening at the same time. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm, onboarding and keeping these new onboards away from all the noise, but then showing them that, look at these entries are amazing. Trust me, I've been here for 5 years. These are great entries. So, yeah. And then not also thinking about, what I should be doing with my own assets that are remaining and wanting to almost flip everything into pTGC and UFO. Yeah. At these levels.
I had this same conversation with somebody earlier this week. I had to refrain from giving financial advice, but he was literally thinking the same thing. He's like, I'm thinking about, flipping my core assets into pTGC. And I'm like, well, just look at the charts, not financial advice. Always leave a moon bag. Be cautious,
Hey, one question I did want to ask the panel. Has there been any discussion about the DAO on pTGC or even funds on UFO setting up LP pools with the new RH token or sacrificing anything, if anything at all?
A lot of conversation.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I just haven't been in spaces.
Still kicking the can. I want to see if any more people, or mainly Richard, comes out with any new information, I feel like rules are going to change, or I want to see how much value gets sacrificed as well. I don't think it would hurt to do a little bit of a sacrifice for pTGC just to create a pair right off the bat.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is the chance of the retracement, like it'll pop up and then go down just like Pulse Chain.
Yeah.
But we get to benefit off of a different, unique situation than just someone holding it. So, like, as far as just holding it, I don't see the value in it there, but I see the value in sacrificing or getting some for pTGC because we could create a liquidity pool very quick, expose our community to that asset.
Yes.
So our community doesn't feel pressured to expose themselves. if we can expose them through the web, then they are in a way exposed to it if they're a pTGC holder. But then also we could generate revenue off of the volatility and volume going through that token for the first few weeks. Even if it ends up a little bit lower, we could completely pay ourselves back for what we put into the sacrifice in those first weeks, kind of like we did with the most token.
Yeah, with the bots. Yeah.
But still kind of playing with the idea. We have a couple different thoughts on it. If we were to do it, my guess it wouldn't be anything extreme.
Yeah. So looking at it, but looking at it very cautiously and going to that way. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
Definitely kind of waiting until the rate that it's at, I think, has like 17 more days or 16 more days. So I don't feel too much pressure in putting value in now until the current rate starts to decrease.
Yeah. When does the rate decrease? And does anyone know off the top of their head when the rate decreases and when the SAC actually closes completely?
It looked like the SAC was pretty long. It looked like it was like a 60-day SAC or something like that.
Right.
But at 20 days is when you start to get a worse rate.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the window I'm looking at. Is just seeing what additional information we can get in the next 15 days, and then just using that additional information to help make a good decision for the community. I see the pros of both sides of it. The pro of not sacrificing is we can scoop up possibly an extremely discounted PulseX token upon launch, just like you were able to scoop up a discounted Pulse chain right now, and such like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, ProveX. And then the other pro of it is it might go down a little bit, but if we bond to it right away, we might be able to just pay ourselves back for what we put in it, and also expose our community to something that they maybe don't have the funds to or want to expose themselves to on their own. Because we don't only benefit from price appreciation, we can also benefit from it just bouncing in a range very heavily via generating revenue.
Yeah, my personal thought is that you're not going to really see that. I don't think you're going to see some massive just bull run on Pulse Chain because of ProveX. To me, that's just laughable, to be honest with you. But my strategy would definitely just let the damn thing launch, go up, come down, bottom out, and then if you wanted to grab a bag and bond with it there, that would be what I would do. Because I just don't see enough energy at all.
Well, he's not accepting any calls. So does that mean that he's trying to get outside economic energy into Pulse Chain by doing that? Because that's the only positive. Well, that's the only thing I could see RH trying to target without accepting calls, which is
Well, what it is he doesn't want to give anybody any leverage from the existing like to understand this. You got to go back to the Hex sacrifice for Pulse and PulseX, right? Imagine you were in Hex early on, and let's just say you got into Hex at, let's just keep it very small. You got into Hex at 1 cent, right? And then it went up to 17 cents, and you sacrificed it at 17 cents for Pulse Chain. You got a 17x multiplier on your money, and then you sacrificed it for Pulse Chain, right? Okay, and that's in USD. Forget about Hex. If you put in $100,000 into Hex at 1 cent, and it went up to 17, and you sacked it, you just put in $1.7 million into the sacrifice.
Yeah, not $100,000. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you think that guy is hurting right now in Pulse Chain?
Absolutely.
He's still in profits.
Yeah.
He's in so much profits, it's retarded.
Yeah, it's not even hurting. Yeah, but
so do you want to give that guy that has that Pulse Chain, where he got that much Pulse Chain, he got a $1.7 million bag of Pulse Chain for $100,000? Do you want to give him the ability now to just send some of that to ProveX? Just send some pulse chain over there to ProveX and get a big old fat stack. You're basically just giving the guy a bunch of ProveX, and he's already in profits no matter what happens.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you're leaving people with the decision. They either need to just sell the bottom of Pulse Chain, or even a very low price. It's not the bottom of Hex, but a very low price of Hex.
Or bring in real value back. Bring real value back.
What sold, or bring in brand new real value from somewhere else. Those are your only two options.
And so what's the reason the chain dumped? The reason the chain dumped is because people were selling because they wanted a sack straight away, or they were selling because they were freaking out about another sack, so they just want to get out of the chain altogether. It's probably a little bit of both, actually.
Yeah, I think a combo. I think people upset that there's another sacrifice and just saying, hey, what the heck am I doing here? I had never expected this to happen. I think some people were like, oh, I do want to sack. I'm afraid the price is going to dump. Let me front run the price dump. And then they're the ones that create the price dump. Just, I think it's a combination of it all. But if you look at it like this, if he included the RH tickers in the sacrifice, there could have been a little bit of a run on Pulse Chain because people want to push up the price of their Pulse Chain assets to then go sacrifice them. Pulse Chain has such little liquidity that big players can actually manipulate the price in multiples if they really wanted to. So a big player could actually put value in the Pulse, push price of Pulse up, sack that price of Pulse, and then retake that money back out. That's how illiquid Pulse Chain is. But you can't do those moves with ETH or USDC or these other big assets that they don't hold a lion's share in. The only thing that they can do is sell. They still have a lot of value over here, but what they can do is they can sell the bottom and I guess go sacrifice that value. But that's really their only option.
Yeah, but he's told us too in his tweets. He's told us in his tweets that the reason why he did it is because he didn't want to give the value.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
But you're right, the chain's so illiquid. And B-Roots was talking about this in one of his other streams. It's just like to get someone with massive size in and out of the chain, they have to take such a hit on slippage. It's not funny. So, yeah, anyway.
I was looking at what it would cost if someone just wanted to nuke $1 million bag, and the slippage on just $1 million, just
28%.
If you didn't want to DCA it like throughout a few weeks into Ethereum and then out, if you just needed that money right then for some odd reason, or just big players don't think that they have to DCA out $1 million, or in $1 million, like Mando just said, like you're getting hit with 28%, $280,000 of $1 million. Like that's quite a bit.
That's crazy. No one to do that. Yeah, I hope he can just change it on a dime though to when he wants the floodgates to open for bigger investors, because that's a concern. But anyway,
we talked about this.
I don't want to talk about that.
We talked about this, I think, on the last Spaces. Even like a meme token, they have like an evolution process that I believe they kind of need to go through. You have, let's even use pTGC as the example, and you can just change the word pTGC to Pulse Chain. Right now, pTGC is a certain size to where a decently big player can come in, and get a minimum amount of slippage due to the liquidity that we have. In the first year, this number used to be a lot different. In the first month, that number was even different. You know what I mean? So in the first month of pTGC, you could really only bring in $1,000, and and the slippage was kind of crazy because we were just getting started. Our liquidity was still small. But as we grew naturally, next thing you know, people were actually able to bring in $10,000. And then next thing you know, people were able to bring in, let's say right now, someone could bring in $100,000. But it's still difficult if a player wanted to bring in, let's say a massive whale said, oh my gosh, the pTGC code is everything I've always been looking for in a product. Like it's got the APY, it's deflationary, it's good community, good liquidity for its size, for its market cap. But I still can't really even bring in $1 million, like just like that, right?
Yeah.
But
well, not at these
in the
levels. Maybe
future-
it's SAC we could.
Well, exactly. So as we grow, though, as Pulse Chain grows, now that $1 million whale can actually come in. And then as we grow again, someone could come in with 10 million. I think Pulse Chain needs to also go through that same kind of level. You know, right now people can come in with $10,000 to $100,000 with somewhat minimal slippage. And as we get to SAC, or as we get to 2x SAC, now users can come in with $1 million. And as we get to 10x SAC, well, now users can come in with $10 million. It's kind of just part of the growing process. And what we kind of need to be working on right now is, hey, we don't need to focus on bringing in the $1 million guys. Like, the environment isn't right for them right now. The fish tank cannot support a whale. All we can fish is goldfish and, you know, koi fish and stuff like that right now. So that's what we need to be focusing on onboarding to the chain. The users in real life that have $10,000 that they want to, you know, take a good risk to reward.
Yeah, it's such good points then, because it's only, you know, you only need those clips of $5,000-$10,000. That's gonna
They
just
add up.
help the ecosystem.
And as we make our way up to SAC price or higher, the value has to go into the liquidity pool. That's why price goes up. So then that's going to increase the liquidity. So then that makes it to where in the future, bigger players can go in. Look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. They didn't get the liquidity they have today. Year 2, year 3, they slowly became the store of value that they are today, to where now users can come in with hundreds of millions of dollars with very minimal slippage. Well, it was a growing process, right? They didn't get there overnight. And us as a community of Pulse Chain and of pTGC, this example goes for pTGC too. What pTGC is today is not what pTGC will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We are currently still in the speculative phase, to where people can come in with rather small amounts, and those small amounts can potentially turn into very large amounts in the future. But in the future, big players will be coming in with large amounts of value, not so much for like the speculative side of it, but more for the true store value system of it, with the deflation, consistent price appreciation, and the fact that there is enough liquidity for them to flow freely in and out with minimal slippage.
Yeah, great point. Gary's got his hand up, I think.
Yeah, I was curious.
Okay.
When I came in the space, I heard, I forgot who it was speaking, but it was about, it's kind of like allowing for Pulse Chain ecosystem tokens to be sacrificed or not. I think that's what it was. And part of the narrative has been what Richard put out as far as his tweet, which is, you know, new money, not people that have been in this community or have any of these tokens, but new money. I'm just curious if anybody has data, you know, not just opinion, but like data about the benefit or the negative of forking. And I mean, you know, Bitcoin Cash could be an example, Bitcoin Diamond, you know, all the hundreds of them that were coming around in 2013, 14, 15, 16. Those were forks. Richard has made a lot of streams in the past about how much crypto he's gotten just basically from being a BTC holder, and also that narrative of, you know, if you think it played out well, if you think it played out poorly, was a lot of the code of Hex when it launched on Ethereum with the AA was to solicit bag holders for effectively free, you know, sign that you hold BTC. A lot of people that have been around all this time went out and bought BTC from the market so that they could participate in Hex effectively for free, because you could sell it the next day if you wanted to sell your BTC. And I can't remember what the price was, but it was pretty low. BTC was, I think it had maybe, I can't remember what the price was during the whole course of the AA, but people could look at it retrospectively. So I'm just asking, you know, data-based forks in 17 were mostly like Ethereum killer narratives, that Ethereum is expensive. You had all these all these different ICOs and things like that said that they're going to be an Ethereum replacement. That's what Tron and EOS and all these others of the 17 cycle were really about. And I saw, of course, this is a pitch because we're part of this community. We talk about what's going on with Richard and the ProveX and this new sacrifice. Do you think that airdrops or forks have native value because you're basically giving somebody, bag holders of a different coin, your coin for free? What's your data fed or your opinion?
Can you frame that question a little bit differently?
Yeah. So do you think that being a Bitcoin fork, or at least doing an airdrop to the ETSX XO set for Bitcoin Cash, has served Bitcoin Cash well in its advertising or its use case, its utility? Do you think that the fork of Pulse Chain of Ethereum, that's basically the code that was pre-bought through a sacrifice, right? So there's a pre-bought without necessarily economic energy coming in after the fact, because everybody that participated in the sacrifice of Pulse Chain and PulseX already are back holders. So if they had little money or they had a lot of money that they put into it, however you want to call money or currency or Hex, or they bought with Ethereum or Bitcoin, like they bought in. And once they bought in, is it useful on this new narrative to have search for new money? And again, I think I'm just kind of asking, this played out before, and we haven't seen necessarily, other than, I think it was recently discovered, Dylan had made comments about it, that Dylan and Buck, their devs, had found that the OA wallet or daughter wallets had been buying Pulse Chain assets in September of 24, which is like a new discovery that it wasn't known before. Like, we know that the other ones that were more put all over Twitter when the OA was buying with the treasury bag. So I'm just curious, like, is this a trust thing again? Centralize the appetite, satisfy the appetite for the token before any appetite for the token could move the chart, because centralizing and putting it into the ProveX sacrifice bag doesn't necessarily move the chart. It still is going to require advertisement and use case or price go up narrative for the price to go up. It still has to go up, and who makes it go up is the question.
Well, that's the issue of a sacrifice, right? If everybody that knows about ProveX is already buying it in the sacrifice, who's left to buy it after it launches? Everybody wants to just watch the price that they sacrificed for. They want to watch now the token go up in price. Are they going to buy it if it goes lower than their sacrifice price? Not on Pulse Chain. I mean, some might, like speculators, right?
Well, they did with Pulse Chain and PulseX.
That was the hope for, hold 1 second, sorry. That was the hope for Bitcoin cash price to go up, right? We're going to give free to the Bitcoiners. Ethereum price went up because Bitcoiners had to buy Ethereum, whether they got in early or late. Godwill is a famous Bitcoiner that bought 400,000 or something like that worth of Ethereum at the ICO at the beginning. There's others that are on this chain. Roger Veer's been confirmed as far as a bag holder and having staked Hex and things like that. But at the end of the day, what you get for free, and again, I think maybe it's just bothering me with this narrative, which is I saw B-Roots make a comment or make a emoji. One of his comments earlier today was something to do with whales and how do you attract whales? Well, the way that the whales are treated, especially, whether Rackham is the public whale or OGs are assumed to be the whales in Pulse Chain and PulseX, like, they're not treated very well. And it's just like, how can we possibly shake out anybody that has value in the system so that it basically goes as far down or as many tokens are slippage exited as possible so that the price can go up with new appetite.
Well, the problem is that we just said it's contradictory to what you want a market to be. You just said to get them out, price goes down. That's not needed. Ethereum did the exact same thing. Ethereum had a sacrifice. Price went down for like a week and then went straight from 50 cents to $1,400. What was created in order to do that? Demand. Advertising. Marketing. Right from the get-go. What do we have now? Nothing. We have an SEC case that made people run away. We won the SEC case, but we have a red alert or whatever. So the idea that you need another project to do the exact same thing that'll make price go up is a very false narrative to make people think that that's what's needed to make the price go up. What you need is marketing. You don't need to wash people out, because if you convince people that is the next big thing, why would they ever sell it? It's that simple. Ethereum was the next big thing. They weren't trying to wash people out. People took their profits because they didn't see the benefit of it. But at the end of the day, it was marketed as the next big thing, and therefore it was profited. Rich Hart not streaming is what helps, makes that happen. New projects, new coins coming on, creating new ideas. We need to be the DePIN. We need to be the RWA. We need to be the AI. We need to be the robotics. All these narratives, meme coins, all these narratives came through in this last bull market, and now we're just coming out with our first different project that really isn't that different. So the idea of what's next, in order for the space to grow, you need a pTGC like coin on your project. But we also need more than just pTGC. We need 50 others. But you're not going to get that without price appreciation. So what happens is when you get your price appreciation and you create speculation, those devs come over here by nature of the price appreciation. So when the price appreciation comes and people chase after it, those devs are like, well, instead of me building on Ethereum or instead of me building on Solana, I now build on Pulse Chain because I have a bag that has went up. So I am incentivized to keep pumping my bag by creating something that I like on the coin that I have my bag in. So it's a false narrative, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but it's a false narrative that we need to wash out whales in order to make the price go up. That is the most fake, beyond narrative there ever will be in any market. You don't have to wash out whales to price go up. That's just false.
Wow.
That's the
I think
they're so focused on washing out the whales. The community needs to be focused on attracting whales and then keeping the whales.
There you
and
go.
watching the value increase over time.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how they.
But you got to create, for example, if let's just say my rectum decides to sell at a certain point, but he hears or sees something that changes his mind. Is that person stupid enough to sell at a low if something changes their mind that's going to make that value go up, that's going to be worth more? No one in their right mind is going to sell that. So you have to convince that person to not sell, period.
As a matter of fact, he probably FOMO back in.
Exactly. We've already seen him FOMO back in. We saw it with ink. He came in top blasted $5 million worth of ink because he saw something that could change. Point blank. That's how markets work. So when you hear this, wash out the weekend, it's narrative, man. It's false. It's fake. It's bullshit.
It's the same, to me, it's the same as the pet rock. The pet rock has no usefulness other than entertainment and, the joke of it or whatever. And it was super popular when I was a kid. I remember receiving them, and I think my mom even bought them for other kids in my class or something. But it's almost like saying, okay, we need to make sure that the owner of the gravel company gets out so that, more people will buy pet rocks. It doesn't make sense logically. And it's interesting that the narrative that Richard put out in the previous sacrifices, which was Pulse Chain and PulseX with the volume multipliers and all these other kinds of things, was you want whales because people that have $500 in an ecosystem are more likely to sell than people that have a lot of capital in the system, and they really couldn't get that massive of a multiple anyway until the market for that product or that utility is evident, and it is basically beyond their entry. So like, and again, centralizing to a sacrifice, I don't know that we have learned it as a community. I think we put, our blind faith into the 8D chess narrative of Richard. But like, where does that go, and how does that, if you buy ProveX because you think it has price go up narrative to it, people are going to buy after you, right? Your value of your participation is later valued higher. Like, how does that happen?
The problem with ProveX, I think the sacrifice is a dead thing, because to be honest with you, we all know about it. So no one's buying today or day 21 is going to buy it and pump that thing. Now they can chase after it, but you can do that with Pulse Chain, you can do that with Hex, you can do that with Ink. You don't need a new token to do that for. You just need to market it, live stream it, do what does best for crypto. You look at Andrew Antonopoulos, he's the top guy in crypto because he's just shilling Bitcoin for so long. Now you got the guy that's shilling Ethereum. You got Michael Saylor. YouTube is the way to increase your space here. Like, it's just, here's the idea. This is gonna sound so bad, but it's the raw truth. It's the raw truth. The reason why Donald Trump won is not from mailing out flyers. The reason why Donald Trump won the presidency is not because he hired singers and all that stuff. The reason why he won is his social media.
Yep.
Your Joe Rogans,
100%.
your Elon Musk, and all the people that had your Golden Tate, your Myron Gaines. That is what this world is about. It is now about social media, YouTube, and X. If you think in any other way you're going to win people over by mailing out flyers, that's just dead. It's been long dead. It's over with. That is not the reality. That's the reason why Donald Trump won this election.
Absolutely.
You can't even argue with me. It's a fact. It's raw truth. That is the facts. If Richard Hart thinks he can do it just by tweeting, you probably could, but you're going to need to show your face every now and then to kind of like, people are going to need to see who you are, what you're all about, and you need to be present with that. Point blank, that will get stuff going, not just doing another sacrifice. I'm just going to say how to say it. I don't think anyone else comes in and buys afterwards. Maybe I'm wrong. You can speculate on that, but it won't happen like on day 21 or day 22 or day 23. Something's going to happen after that in order for it has to be groundbreaking. It has to be something we've never seen, and people have to use it. And in this reality, it's not even people using it. It's just going to be some type of company taking it on and partnering with that, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Foundation, whether it's Walmart. I don't know. Something's going to have to drive that hype, because if Richard Hart ain't going to drive it, something else is going to have to drive it. So YouTube, X is the way to grow in this day and age. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Not that. That's why there's no follow-up marketing with tablets.
Bruce, we've had so many sacrifices on Pulse Chain, sub-sacrifices, like liquid loans, like Pulse Launch. They've all turned out terrible for the investors. Terrible for the initial sacrifices. So it's just...
Well, there has to be a cutoff, and there has to be a quick cutoff. And not everybody can know about it, or just be a fair launch and just go from the beginning. Why do you need to do a sacrifice? Just launch the thing.
Just launch the thing. Yeah.
Right.
And just going back to the whole whale thing, like you said before, if we had 50 pTGCs on Pulse Chain, how fucking well would Pulse Chain be going right now? How many whales in pTGC and UFO are selling their bags? How many whales are selling?
Like right now, there's literally one that's just been clipping out very, respectfully, very little. Almost none.
And probably haven't touched it in ages. So almost none. It's just and so that's what you need. You need people to not want to sell because they see the value in what they're holding and they don't want to give it up.
Yeah, I think
What's
you
up,
get
Derek?
more social, you get more social media coalition, let's say. Think of Rackham buying in through sacrifice. People follow his accounts and follow his wallets and things like that because he's in, right? He's got coins. And the only thing you really can pay attention to is the sell pressure, the sell. But like, I don't know, like if you buy, and again, this has happened on other chains, if someone's significant influencer or someone significant with capital buys into a project, Roger Ver famously at $1 and promoting it, through $10, $12 or whatever, his early participation in Bitcoin. Even Richard saying things like, I bought Bitcoin at $30 and held it down to $2. Like these end up being the anchors in social media of, 10, 15 years ago. And then today, like buying in after the fact, after the launch, whether it's after the AA is over and you can only buy basically through liquidity that's available on DEXs, that's part of the number go up narrative. But I don't see how preloading, unless you're just saying the address doesn't have enough capital of its own to deliver the product or to deliver the marketing that's necessary for the product to be popular. I don't know, like it's interesting. And then also like just in this past week, maybe it's because Zcash has done what it's done as an example, but like Andrew Tate today is all about like, within 90 days, it's going to be important that you're in ZK proofs. He's just posting about that. And there's a lot of hexagons that are, simping on his page. But like the same thing with Charles Hoskinson, I think like yesterday put out his hour-long video and solicitation of Brian Armstrong of Coinbase about Midnight and their privacy solution to all chains, basically being multi-chain for privacy. So privacy is a topic, but Moon King has more experience, I think, than many of us over like, is that the last leg of a bull is when everybody switches to privacy is important now that I've made my bag. Like, is privacy really important in today's market?
A narrative. Zcash is always the last one to fall. Monero is always the last one to fall. It's just a narrative at the end of the day. Now, I still think we need it. I'm all about it. But at the end of the day, it's just like your start to the end.
I don't know. I think of it as VPN kind of like speak, because at the end of the day, money arrives in your bank account. It came from an unknown source. And just because you use ZK proof doesn't really change that you got to answer where the source of funds came from. Like, it depends on what you're going to do with your quote unquote crypto gains. If you're going to go to Dubai and buy a house with no questions asked, sure, that kind of thing. But like if you're going to stay inside of a regulated economy that still uses fiat, and part of my like challenge over this past, again, everybody should make money, go make cash, however you can make it. Crypto is just another mechanism to me now. But if an endless Fed printer government can print for free effectively, I don't understand how crypto is like anti or a parallel economy. I don't understand it, because government can seize, they can criminalize the holder, and they say, well, you never have to give up your crypto. Yeah, you face 50 years or 100 years in jail like Roger Ver was, and he had to pay $50 million in order to clear that case. He didn't get a pardon, he paid a fine. So like the idea that fiat can be printed endlessly by a government, any government that has a central bank, but they can always have a whale position, not just through straight purchase to say it needs to be in a strategic reserve, as far as a marketing narrative, but like taxation, capital gains taxation, estate taxation. Like, I don't understand how crypto is different. It's not. If you are a stockholder in a stock, part of your participation as a stockholder is, even though it's just like holding pom-poms at your favorite football game, you're just like a cheerleader, really. You don't have ownership of the factory or the materials or the IP or anything like that. But basically, you're a cheerleader, right? You're willing to buy shares of a company, and the company itself, the founder or the whales in the share pool, they can sell their shares in order to either get capital or buy a yacht or whatever Bezos and Elon want to do, right? So you're contributing. But the only reason that that's a bit different, or one big reason, is, at least today, it still employs hundreds of thousands of people. And like, I think government just wants like people not to riot in the streets. And if you are a billionaire in crypto, and especially if you're public, who are you employing? You're not employing anybody. You're just rich because you were early or you participated in a game. So I don't see it as protected as a asset class as some have, when it's always stated for the 7 or 8 years I've been here. With that said, I like pTGC a lot.
Yeah, well, one thing that always stands out to me, and it's only goes to like unique specific products, right? Like they can continuously print fiat, but where I think cryptocurrency stands out is it's pretty much via code, us taking all the things that give assets in real life value, scarcity and demand, and kind of just programming it in a way to like really expand that value to its full potential. Because a lot of these assets that we hold in real life, you know, reason people hold stocks or reason people hold gold, or a lot of times what reason people buy property isn't because they want to use that gold for something or they care about what that company is selling. It's mainly because they just want price performance out of it and they're willing to store value there. So I feel like a good utility of cryptocurrency is just literally the ability to store value in something that has set parameters, and the parameters are usually designed in a way that equals max appreciation, and that's what we're doing here. For a while, with just like Bitcoin and not mass inflation of cryptocurrencies, there was kind of a set line there. In the recent years with pump.tires and pump.fun and the inflation of just meme coins like crazy, this has kind of gotten diluted, so it doesn't really look that same. But if you rewind a little bit, I do think there's a ton of product market fit within cryptocurrency as far as just taking the parameters that matter for value appreciation and coding it into trustless smart contracts.
Yeah, and again, we can create an amazing product with technology. There's a lot of examples that have been either in direct competition with something else that gets launched. An example might be Betamax competing with VHS. If you're old, that's like pre-CDs and pre-DVDs and pre-subscriptions and stuff. And you know, the better technology is Betamax. You know, provable, better resolution, all these other kinds of reasons that it's better. But if it's, even though it may be technologically better, if it's marketed poorly, then it fails. It loses to capture the interest of the appetite of the market. Like it just doesn't, right? So like that's part of our like onboarding, or you want to call it onboarding, you want to call it marketing, you want to call it tablets, you want to call it a founder that's charismatic or, you know, outrageous or whatever you want to call it. That's like 99% of the battle in this, especially with as much noise that's in the crypto space in 2025 versus, you know, 2017 as far as my entry into it. Just different.
Yeah, I think Moon King just pretty much explained that very, very well. You know, it's about the marketing behind the product, and you don't really need to wash out big players if the marketing and I don't even want to say roadmap, because I don't really even believe in roadmaps, because usually roadmaps are just promises that never come true just to keep users invested or to bring in new users. That's like why pTGC and UFO are just finished products. They have no roadmap as far as design. But I think a roadmap as far as future vision is okay. You know, what the product is today, and with evolution of cryptocurrency and as the product grows, where you see it becoming in the future. Like big whales just want to know that vision's there, right? As an investor, you just want to know this is where we are now, and this is where the goal we're heading to. And if that goal is believable enough and big enough, I don't really think you have to wash out a lot of whales, because those whales can see the situation of, $1 million today turning into 10 to $100 million in the future. pTGC specific has APY written in the code. Well, now these whales are looking at situations to where they could have cashed out $1 million once, which doesn't really get you that far in the world today. Or if they actually believe in the product long term and understand the vision, they can be sitting on a $100 million bag in the future to where it's paying them, let's say a 5% APY on $100 million, $5 million a year in APY, and you never have to touch your initial bag. You're living off of APY. Like that's where you can get whales to actually stay and continue to support the system. So if you give them that incentive via other things, they now support the system instead of hurt the system. And you just have to give them that vision and let them know that there is a plan for the future. It's actually written within code. This is why pTGC and UFO stand out to me. You don't even have to tell them really what the vision is. It's there in the code what the vision is. But the marketing is everything. If Richard's not coming out and telling people, where he thinks this is headed, he's obviously the visionary of the whole entire thing. And we look to the visionary and the builder of this system for guidance of where the vision's headed, especially right now, where there's been curveballs after curveballs in the last year to where we thought we had the vision, but every curveball that throws at us, it's a constant reminder that I might not know where this is headed. And I have value stored here. I'm an investor in here, and some of us are bigger investors than others, but obviously big investors are very fractionalized on what they can take out. So then they start getting a little squirmy if the vision isn't really clear. Going back to kind of what you said about, how a company employs people and that gives the world, that puts use case into the world, and cryptocurrency really doesn't do that for people. A lot of the wealthiest people in cryptocurrency, if they do have employees, it's very few, which I think this is where the world is headed, right? Like if you look at some of the biggest companies that exist, they're doing everything that they can to actually eliminate their employees. They're not super stoked on having all of them. Like we're moving in a direction of pretty much most employees being replaced by robots, machines, or AI. And I think crypto is just a little bit more ahead of this because you're putting your value to work for you in a automated and mechanical way. This is what makes pTGC and UFO stand out to me, is it generates revenue just like large companies. In the last year, it's generated roughly $10 million, but it does this with 0 employees, right? And where the community comes in place is they're having value in the system. So they're putting up value instead of time, and their value is actually paying them for being in the system. So they're still technically making a paycheck based on the amount of value that they have in the system, just like with any job you put in work. But we are having to evolve just like the world is, companies are evolving around us. We can't automatically say, well, just because we're not employing people doesn't mean we're not making a difference. We can actually make a difference with not employing them, but giving them opportunities to put value that they have to work, and them being incentivized for doing so. Obviously, every incentivization is based on each holder's holdings. So, a player coming in with $1,000 today is going to make a different earnings than a player coming in with $100,000 today. But this is everything in the real world. This is, helper at a business isn't going to get the same pay as a manager at the business, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, framing and marketing is everything. Like I said, whether the product is amazing and doesn't get any eyes, it would have the same, net sales and participants advocation because no eyes are on it. Yeah, marketing is everything. It doesn't matter really about utility at all.
I think Bitcoin's a great example of it. They kill it on marketing. They're everywhere. But their tech is technically, 13 years old.
Personally, I think that Richard Hart could have been the Antonopoulos of this whole crypto space if he just kept doing what he was doing. He still can if he comes back. It's going to be tough because now he's getting hosted all on CNBC and all the main channels. He's known as the crypto guy, him and Saylor. I think Richard Hart's, flopping the ball on that. He could easily take that spot, that position as someone who's been known to be one of the smartest people in the space and be the early guy. But, some people can't handle that, I guess. I still don't think the red alert is that big of a deal, especially if you're a quote unquote billionaire. Just pay the bill and go win. If winning is your motive and glory is your motive and you're a billionaire, I'm sorry, but $300 million shouldn't stop you if that's your goal in life. So if it's not about money, you can buy whatever you want. Well, pay your bills and then go get that glory, because he could be that top 3 guy in the space. But I don't know if he's choosing to do that. It's one of those. It's an ego thing, in my opinion. So if it were me, I'm just gonna say, if it were me, I would have paid that bill, did what I had to do a long time ago, and I've been on stream competing with those guys all day to be number 1.
I think that's why a lot of us are here, is we believe Richard was that guy, right? We believed he could be that top 3 of, being one of the big leaders in the crypto industry. We believed his products, had features in them that were designed better than a lot of the already existing products that are out there. And I think that's what's hard for a lot of us, is the reasons we built here, the reasons we put our foundation here, the reasons we've spent, like you too, Moon King, spent a lot of your time building up this chain, is because we believe Richard could and should be that person.
Well, let's be real. At this current time, we all feel like we've been bait and switched. I mean, we had Richard, we had what we had in a leader, in a thought leader, in a very controversial person, which is really, really good for any industry, to be controversial, to go against the grain, to have different forms of thought, to be willing to speak against power, to be willing to speak against. It's just like all the epitomes of what you look for in somebody who can really make change. As soon as the sacrifice was done, the person's just gone. So we never anticipated that Richard would just disappear himself infinitum. Nobody would have bought into this chain if we thought that was the case.
I think we need to be careful as the Grays community about talking negatively about Richard Hart. We're bonded with a lot of his assets, and I think we need to be a good example to all of Pulse Chain in supporting Richard Hart, even if it just means being quiet about anything negative that we think about him or what he's doing.
Just fear.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
don't.
fear, Prairie. I don't agree with that at all, man.
Yeah. If you have a great protocol, which is pTGC, and you like how the mechanisms work, it could be on different chains. There's different assets that could be put in. So like the narrative of don't talk bad about it because someone might know what you know, because you're talking about it, you have an opinion about it. It's definitely going to be something that someone else has. And I kind of do agree with, or not kind of, I do agree with what Mando says, which everyone I think does really believe, but won't say. The Richard Hart of today is not the Richard Hart of 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And honestly, he said after the fund was raised, disappeared really for 2 years. Maybe it was the guise of create a product that needs to be delivered, and the technological challenges of forking a full system state. Like that's what we all have sat through. And then we have a launch period, and even during the launch, you get a Christmas video. No one bet on Richard's ego being the one that would disappear effectively. Doesn't matter whether it's legal, doesn't matter if it's Interpol. No one betted on it because they see similar challenges to Trump in his origin in politics. They see similar comparison to Elon Musk with his technology and being able to bring hundreds of thousands of people together to a common cause. We did build the guy up, and I'm not saying he's not that guy, but he hasn't shown evidence that he's that guy for many years. It's just different.
Well, negative news, bad news travels faster than good news. And we've got
this ecosystem where Richard Hart is going to be new to the news. don't think Twitter space.
Well, Terry,
what else is going to make a difference on
Yeah.
Richard Hart's reputation?
And we did go up thousands of X's without Paul Shane going up being a downtrend. So I agree with both parties what you're saying. I do think that it's not necessarily negative news. It's kind of like an athlete, professional athlete. You go into NFL, you go to college. I played at the collegiate level, D1 collegiate football, and you get yelled at all the time. You get shitted on all the time at that level. You are still being supportive, even though you get yelled at all the time, or someone thinks something different how something thinks it happened. Maybe I'm the best receiver on the team, and I think that I should get the ball, but another coach thinks another player should get the ball. Those coaches are literally going on the earphones 24/7 on what needs to be done going against it, but they all have one goal or nothing. So they could be yelling at each other, they could be showing the negatives. This is what should be done, this is what shouldn't be done. But at the end of the day, you have one goal, and one goal only is that the price go up. And whether people agree on how it should be done, some like not like my marketing. Guess what? More people are talking about that side of stuff before it was ever done.
Okay, but it doesn't do any good for us to have a negative conversation about Richard Hart if he doesn't hear about it. Take it to him directly.
That can't be done.
You can on Twitter.
No. That can't be done.
Blocked.
Yeah, he
Then-
blocks everybody that does
He's
anything.
blocked anyone that has a different opinion. Come on, dude. Let's just be for real. Let's be for real.
You guys don't have my support in talking negatively about Richard Hart. You don't have it.
Yeah, so I don't think that anybody. I don't think that anybody is talking. I love Richard. I
There you go.
Spent 5 years of my life doing things aside Richard. pTGC. There's nothing on the chain that has supported Richard's things, in my opinion, more than our protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's also disingenuous. It's hypocrisy to say we can't voice reality and then to ask other people to come in and be a part of that, and you won't even talk about it. That's not integrity. Integrity is knowing where you're at and the environment that you're in, being willing to talk about it. It's transparent, and you're in the light. You're not in the darkness, and that's okay. B has been the number one, like in the last 3 months.
Wait. Let me speak for myself. There's a video coming in about an hour and a half.
No, I was just going to say, B, you've been.
I know. I want to be able to say that, because there is a true video coming before we even say this. I didn't make this up. There's a video scheduled for 35 minutes, and it'll literally go over this stuff. I'm probably, out of this whole group up here, probably sacrificed the most to Pulse Check and Pulse Sex together. I have done that. And I would say, comparing tweets, I have tweeted about Pulse Chain more than Richard Hart.
Yeah, true.
I've killed Pulse Chain on more shows after the launch of Pulse Chain than Richard Hart.
True.
I single-handedly have made the price of Pulse Chain go up from a show that literally, after doing that, brought thousands of people. A lot of my followers, I got 20,000 followers. A lot of them are subscribers from that show.
And all the
So if
biggest.
anyone has anything to say, it should be me. So to try to say I can't talk negative, it ain't talking negative because I'm still here. That's the difference.
Hey,
I'm still here in support. If I wasn't, then I would have bounced a long time ago because I can make money on anything. And we all know this. So it's constructive criticism is a good thing.
Yes. And that's what it is. It's not talking negatively. It's just living in reality and offering constructive criticism about what's happening. Now, I agree with you, Prairie, to a degree, but you got to see it from both sides from a realistic standpoint, right?
If we ever wanted to start, let's just say we wanted to start collecting Ethereum, and we like what Ethereum's doing. Well, what if we didn't like what Ethereum's doing? Like, would you still collect Ethereum?
Nope.
No.
Absolutely not.
So that's the point that I'm making. That hey, we're still collecting Pulse Chain. All we're doing is just we're collegiate, and this is in one of the few spaces that allows people to just kind of talk freely, and it's grown over time. I'd say we keep it, but don't I understand what you're saying. We keep what we're doing, but I don't think this is bashing Richard Hart. I think we all agree to it. We all are saying the same thing, but don't hide it and try to be well, everything's great and dandy. It's just not. So these things need to be fixed.
Sure.
And we're expressing our opinions on that.
I actually think he wants to come back. I think there's a reason why he's not right now, and we just don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
Correct.
He tweeted the other day that he was gonna come back, but he didn't. I don't know why he's doing that. I know people that he's connected to that he has told them he wants to come back at some point.
Oh, weird.
So I don't know if it's the Interpol thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's like what Gary said. There are people in this room that sacrificed millions of dollars because they were banking on his ego to win, for glory, for all those different things.
He hasn't won yet.
No, I get that, but
Yet.
that's the point. But so in other words, all that ego on the front end of the sacrifice, no ego on the post end of the sacrifice. Instead, we get a poor man's picture with a $2,000 car on his X account.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible.
I mean, 3 years ago, he was crapping on people that hold coin for 5 years. They're down.
Yeah.
So it's you know what I mean? It's all slapping himself in the face. So now he's kind of, what he wants to do, I'm going to tell you exactly what he wants to do. He wants to ignore it in existence like it never happened. But the community sees it. They're getting bashed on about it. So
Okay.
that's where it's
That's the part. And again, Richard built as a cult of personality, and the people that grew around Richard as far as his own product line, they came from Strape, they came from Hex AA, origin story, right? This whole they came from Hex Rewind, 3 years worth of Hex Rewind and all the stuff that was there, right? But that bravado is one thing that has infused into this community over the years. And, we call it gatekeeping, but we're not the best guests in other people's home either. Part of that, right? So Richard famously there's even a song about it. I think it's called 10,000X. And it's if you don't know why a coin is in the top 10, you need to shut the fuck up. And that's part of the hypocrisy kind of, fester, I think, over the years is if Richard is, Russian mob held in a gulag, it's justified, right? If it's, SEC case needs to be resolved, don't say more things because, $1 million lawyers are saying don't say things. Okay, that's fine. And at least it's been swallowed for the past several years. But to do a fundraise while still being absentee it just feeds suspicion. So then in your brain, you have to do what most of us are doing on these spaces and in our own minds. You either say to yourself, this is a different guy. It's not him. His personality changed. Everything that was said as a meme before that attracted people is a psyop now to make them get out, right? And then rebuild the disciples and the evangelists and, the maxis in the future. Get rid of this class to move on to other things so the new class can rise. And kind of, I think that's part of the frustration, is this time is different was Richard Hart in 19 and 20. This time is different because we all had gone through the crash of 17 and 18, right? And ICOs gathering $1 billion and then volunteers doing the work. You know, his famous clip that's been posted a few times recently. You know, like, you're idiots for doing it for free when the ICO got $1 billion. Like, those things don't go away. They're still part of the collective cult of personality that is defined as Richard Hart. And who is that guy today? We do not know. We don't know who that guy is.
Polygon makes a valid point in YouTube. He says there's a time and a place for criticizing RH. And in my opinion, it's privately. And this is not a private forum. How many brand new people to Pulse Chain are on this spaces? I don't know. Therefore, my lips are zipped when it comes to criticizing. Now there is a caveat. I will caveat. If you want to criticize, you know, say, hey, I support Richard Hart. However, you know, I have questions about what he's doing over here, but I love Richard. You know, we can talk about him like that, but let's throw in some support while we talk about perhaps what we suspect he's doing or whatever. You know, with new people in mind. We are trying to onboard people to Pulse Chain, are we not?
It's not in the
You
realm
muted,
I
I think. Prairie?
in general just don't agree with. Obviously, it's impossible to be negative or talk to him in person, which is, I think, the starter of the issue is just all of us don't know exactly what's going on, and we're trying to talk through it. And as we're talking through it, it sometimes comes out a little bit negative because there is negative things about the situation going on. But just as leaders in the community, I think it is important for us to pay attention to where that line is and keep up, you know, positive morale and speak about still the highlights that we have going on this chain that, you know, the reason a lot of us are still here.
Well, let me ask you a question. My comment, I said my comment, and then Prairie said we shouldn't be. So I want to know if you guys think. When I said, for example, I just want to know prescribed language, what you think. When I said we all signed up for the Richard we knew, right? That leader, that forceful character, that person who was going against the grain and doing all the things that he was doing, we all signed up for that because we loved him. We loved that. He was amazing. It was just fun. I looked forward to seeing those live streams all the time. It was part of my life. I enjoyed them. I learned a ton. There was so much about that I really, truly enjoyed. And then post-sacrifice, it's just gone. Now, do you take that as me saying bad things about Richard?
I don't know the exact thing that Banana was talking about. I was just more speaking in general because I think I said something along that same line as far as being a builder here and someone who's devoted a lot of my time. I personally still believe that the story is yet to be finished. And I think that's the important caveat to the conversation is we're still in the middle of it and we're all kind of on a journey on the Mayflower to a new land. And we're halfway through the ocean and, you know, there is no turning back at this point, for me at least. You know, I burnt every boat back a long time ago. And there is only forward. And right now, a huge storm is upon us and we can all feel it and it's all shaking us. And some people, I think, are sitting there saying, why did I get on this ship? But again, I think the story is yet to be finished and we don't know how wonderful this new land could be once we get there.
I agree. Prairie, can you identify anything that a specific individual said that made you think that somebody was actually talking down? Because I would really like to know, like, what's the nomenclature that you think falls into that category?
Well, I don't think, I think even my audience has picked up negativity. Crypto7 is in my chat and he says, why are some people complaining about Richard here? He has already said he will stream in the next couple of days. I don't know that to be actually true. I hope it's true. He just told you yesterday, bull market not over. Wait for stream to cry fag.
Yeah, that
when you're making that statement, can you put a date on when you're at that limit? I mean, Richard famously used to do that. He'd say, when does the chart have to show you enough for you to make a different decision?
Oh, put a date on when. Put a date on that.
When do you give yourself permission to cry fag?
You know,
I'll give
it could be a long time from now.
Yeah,
I bet, you know, I'm not going to put a date on it.
I'll give an example, and I think banana falls under this category. And I think that's why a lot of us are in the pTGC ecosystem is we're exposed to Richard's success, and we believe Richard will have success, and that's why we're built here. But we're also willing to put our own destiny in our own hands, and that's what's cool about being on, you know, in specific ecosystems that are in a bigger ecosystem. We are within the Pulse Chain ecosystem. We're helping with the success of the ecosystem, but we also are creating our own success within an individual protocol. So if Richard doesn't act in every single direction that we see fit for this chain, it isn't completely controlling our whole destiny. Right. I believe overall, Richard is going to do right by this chain, even if every single move I agree with or I don't agree with. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're two different people. I believe he's a lot smarter in this industry than me. Have I agreed with every move he's made? I don't actually agree with every move he's made. But that's what's cool about being on sub ecosystems within his chain is we have our own destiny that we can create here. We have our own success story that if Richard does come in later on, it just makes our success that much stronger. And that's nothing against Richard. You know, I mean, I do believe this is the right place to build. I think by building here on Richard's chain, it's actually going to slingshot pTGC in the top 30 of cryptocurrencies of, you know, all cryptocurrencies. And that wouldn't have been possible building on other chains because of Hart's law and reflexivity. Being built here gives us that times multiples compared to other blockchains. But it doesn't mean that, you know, we're not willing to work in a direction that is our own as well. And Banana is a great person to even say is he's 100% for Richard. He believes in Richard, but he also is willing to put his own destiny in his own hands too and be part of this sub ecosystem as well.
Well, I think Zen, that what's happening right now is great for the Grays because it's actually shining a spotlight on this protocol.
Yeah.
As the best protocol on
Yep.
Pulse Chain. It's just becoming self-evident, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. When you go through, you know, it's like the scripture where Jesus said, this is just an illustration. I'm not trying to be religious, but Jesus said, when you build your house, don't build your house on sand, because when the winds come and the waves come and the winds blow, the house crashes. We've seen a lot of houses crash on Pulse Chain, right?
Yep.
But build your house on a rock so that when the winds come and the waves come and the wind come, your house stands, right? And I feel like that's a perfect illustration for what we're witnessing on Pulse Chain right now, is that we've got that storm you just talked about, and what's left standing. So it's a great time to look at what's real. It's a great time to talk in transparency. I'm a transparency person because of my faith. I believe in truth. I believe in integrity. I believe in transparency. One of the things I love about pTGC is we've never shied away from whatever season we've been in. We've never shied away from showing up every week, week after week, in the best of times and in the absolute worst of times. It's one of the things that attracts people to a protocol when we are okay with talking about hard things through hard times. When you try to glaze over stuff, people see through that stuff, you know? And Crypto 7 can say, well, why are you saying this? Why are you saying, well, give me a break. Give me a break. Are you saying that everybody doesn't already know and feel and is experiencing what we're already saying? And B can attest to this. Nothing that we're saying on this space determines the outcome of Pulse Chain.
Well, they just wants to be like rah 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 rah.
Yeah, and
that's not reality. This is a DAO, and a DAO is not going to agree in everything that you got to say, and that's why you wrote the thing. Yeah. So to try to make it all rah 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 rah, and that's how we got to be. That's why there's a DAO part of this ecosystem. It's the most important part, important part of this ecosystem. So that's when we discuss things like this, and there's going to be different opinions. And to take that away takes away from the DAO, the piece of whole purpose.
I think it's just iron sharpens iron. I think it just makes our community stronger to be open and have discourse. And I think it's showing up, Prairie. I think it is. You know, it's we're being shown to be a phenomenal protocol on Pulse Chain through this.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about the other day, even about like sometimes it feels very rough on Pulse Chain. If Pulse Chain, as far as being a blockchain, everything has to be done in real time, right? Like you can build the blockchain out from the beginning and then launch it, but getting Pulse Chain from where the price is today to, you know, let's say a 10,000x, that has to happen live in real time. And that's not as easy as someone could make it sound. You know what I mean? Like even getting pTGC from where it started to 350 mil market cap, like that took a lot of hard work. That took a lot of conversation. That took a lot of, hey, let's try this strategy. Let's try this strategy to get it to that specific point. Obviously, a lot of that work was from the automated features within the protocol, but a lot of it is community building, you know, educating, you know, what's the best way to explain this feature so people can understand it, because these are brand new systems that have yet to be seen in crypto before. And sometimes when you start building something up and you realize that it's too top heavy or, you know, it's just not looking right, you have to build it all back down to ground level to start again from scratch. And, you know, and we don't know what's happening with Richard right now. And I agree with Banana, you know, that's why we should be careful with what we say about him, because we don't know what he's going through and what situations he's in. But right now we're on Pulse Chain, to me, almost feels like we are building it up and realize like, oh, the market wasn't working in our favor, or this wasn't working in our favor. And sometimes you got to kind of build it back down a few steps before you can build it to the new high that you had before. You know what I mean? Get that foundation right, because getting the right foundation on these things, this is one thing I'm very thankful with pTGC having this opportunity with Pulse Chain at this low level again, is it kind of gives me even an opportunity as a lead community member to recheck our foundation. You know, I'm like, hey, we're at these low levels again. Like, do we have enough in real life holders? Like, actually, I think that's something we can work on. Let's increase our in real life holders at this low level. Because what I've noticed is people on Pulse Chain, when they get up in X's, they tend to rotate the value into other assets, just trying to chase the next thing. And in the past, every time we've moved up, our in real life holders have held like rocks.
100%.
So this come back down to these prices, I'm like, hey, how can we make this foundation stronger for the next move up so we can build even higher, right? And that's where I'm like, okay, let's focus on in real life onboarding. You know, we kind of have this reset. So if we get this foundation built even stronger, our next move up can be that much higher and that much more sustainable. And, you know, and Richard could possibly be in that same situation. Like the market's working in our favor, and then he saw the markets pulling back, and then he's like, okay, you know, that wasn't go time. Let's reassess the situation. How can we build this foundation stronger? So on the actual move up of the market, if that's in the next month, or maybe it's in the next 2 years, we can actually make significant growth and sustain it. And again, it's all in real time. Everything we're doing in pTGC right now is all in real time. Everything from week 1 to year 2.
Yeah, and it's transparent, you know, and that's what I love about it, Zen.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even look back at, you know, some of the decisions. Like I was literally just telling someone the other day, you know, a year and a half ago, pTGC was very much focusing on the liquidity web with RH tickers. A year and a half ago, Pulse Chain was over sacrificed price. And, you know, I was looking at all those opportunities still as an extreme discount on RH cores. Going back in time, you know, definitely could have been good for the protocol to spend that time building up some ETH and some stable LPs for the web. But we live and we learn. This is all happening in real time. I am very thankful that we've been able to build up those RH tickers and burn those LPs with PulseX and Hex and Inc. and eHex and Pulse. And every single day we're adding to that Pulse LP via automatic transactions. But, you know, this stuff is all happening in real time. And, you know, that's just one simple example of something that, you know, looking back, I kind of think like, wow, that would have been a really good move at that point. But it's all happening in real time. And we just got to take these inputs and then come up with or take the inputs to get outputs and then just make educated decisions based on all that information. And that's what's so wonderful about pTGC is the fact that it is decentralized and automated, but we do have the pivotability to actually constantly adjust with the new information coming in because it's ever evolving. We all know that. Look at where we're at Pulse Chain right now. It's such a different environment than any of us ever imagined. Most protocols can't pivot at all. We're constantly pivoting with every new piece of information we receive.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Now, what else? What else is happening?
That's one thing I really, you know, I always go back to, especially when we get to these low levels, having the ability to create our own future within pTGC. Winning right here within pTGC, even if Pulse Chain stays at this level for a week, if it stays here for a year, if it goes lower, if it even starts going up right now. You know what I mean? I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what the future holds for Richard's plans, but I do know what the pTGC code does, and I know what abilities and strings and levers that we as a community have to pull and how far we can actually push pTGC up against Pulse Chain in the meantime, however long those situations take. You know, we were talking about earlier, just $3.5 million from these low levels is a 10x against Pulse Chain. Well, if we do a 10x against Pulse Chain while Pulse Chain's at these levels, if Pulse Chain just does a 5x, our whole entire community gets a 50x from these levels. And that's not a 50x like in a meme token where you can't even access any of that token value because there's no liquidity. That's a 50x in an asset that actually has enough liquidity to back most of the players' holdings in the protocol. And it's actually using that liquidity to generate more revenue and continue to grow sustainably over time. And this is all in the control of our sub-community on this decentralized blockchain.
We have been adding more wallets this month in November.
Yeah.
Like an average of 2 extra wallets per day. Not a huge, you know. In my estimation, it's not enormous.
Well, just a few days ago, Prairie, and we get to Gary. We were at 16,700, and that was just a few days ago. And then I looked last night before I went to sleep, and I think it's like we added like almost like 62 wallets or something in like a couple days.
Yeah, I had the stats on it this morning, but I already erased it.
What's up, Gary?
I'm going to dip out after if Moon King responds. Moon King, either DM me or let me know. I should be close to you in your area in December. So just let me know. Maybe we can meet up, go to dinner or something. Are you here? I don't know if you're here. You still listening?
I am. Yeah. Hit me up with DM and we'll see something.
Yeah, I'll send you a DM in the next few minutes. I know you don't read DM, so don't think it's a blanket statement, but I'll give you my number and maybe we can meet up.
Hey, Gary.
The other thing is, I know you have subscribers and they probably get all the juicy stuff, but outside of that, Bitcoin below the 50-day moving average market at the moment, but the optimism side is the Fed potential, while Powell is still in office and potentially getting replaced in May. What's your thoughts in general about the market status? We have another push, or what are your thoughts?
I want to see 88 to 89 hit this week, as in starting Sunday, Sunday to Sunday. I would like to see 89 hit, and then by the end of the month, I would like to be over 100K.
Ooh, let's do
if
it.
that doesn't happen, I would probably promote that a bearish time period is amongst us, regardless of the news. So, never in history there's a moving average. Never in history that that moving average is sitting at 100,000, and never in history have we closed a monthly below that moving average and not have a bear market. So, if you think this time is different, that's what everyone has to do. But 100K by the end of the month is the number. So I would love to see there's big bounce area at the 88 to 89, and absolutely that would be able to get us, that percentage. We can go from 88 to 100. Maybe we hit it early next week, and make our way back up to 90, 95 for the week, and then have the next week to go from 95 above 100 and close the month over there, and that would be a very bullish scenario for Bitcoin to allow the bull market to continue.
How much do you think this user-activated soft fork talk is actually affecting Bitcoin's price right now?
It is. It's everything.
I think so too.
I did a video on it.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, how much do you think it's actually affecting price?
I mean, a lot, because it's until that gets handled out. It's very similar to Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SB, if I remember. That didn't make that kind of had the same situation. Like it drew the price down as people
they
were
just
afraid
don't
of
like
it.
people messing with the code. Period. Anyway.
Correct. So that draws some fear in where people are doing things like that. But I'm strong. I think this whole industry's ran off of bots, whether you believe it or not. So we'll know within 2 weeks. So that I don't care about the $2,000 checks, all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's all relative to. We all know about it. So the fact that we know about it, it's getting priced into the market that we know about it. So I would be willing to bet, if the $2,000 checks is a thing and the bull market's going to continue, it's going to hit the 88 to 89. It's going to go over 100,000. December hits, the checks get announced, and that's the reason why the bull market's down. But at the end of the day, I can call it before, show me charts, I'll say the news. There are people that know what days or when these things are going to happen, and they play the bounces and the levels accordingly, and run those that run the market, and they will do it before the announcement. So we know about it. They know exactly when it's going to happen, and they announce according to it. So, that's the industry we live in.
Cool.
So
Thanks.
The history has been alts 30 days after Bitcoin, and they're hitting their tops. You still believe in that as a narrative, or you think it's all hinges on Bitcoin solely?
That's only one style of history. And obviously we didn't really have crazy altcoins back in, we did, but there was like 13 altcoins. So let's just count 2017 and back. 2017, Bitcoin topped December 17th. And then altcoins ran anywhere from January, February to March. But the bull market was, officially over the first week of January. Coins can still run, coins can still do their thing. But at the end of the day, the highest top for Ethereum was that first week of January. And then Bitcoin went down, came back up, created a higher low. And then officially you could say the bear market has begun once you created that higher low on higher time frames like the weekly and the monthly. Ethereum took a little longer, so that's why you see altcoins kind of go a little bit longer, because even though Ethereum topped in the first week of 2018, it still has to create its higher low. So a couple months later, as Ethereum goes back up to create its higher low, you'll see other altcoins moving in that time period. But once it created that higher low, lower high. Once you create that lower high, then all of a sudden the bear market is officially in. In 2021, it did not do that. Everything topped at the exact same time. Hex actually topped a month before the altcoin started, before Bitcoin Ethereum. So they all topped at the exact same time. Obviously, coins still felt like it was a bull market because as they created and went up to create its higher low, then coins could still run, and you got some altcoins and some meme coins still run. But once that lower high is created, it actually feels like a bear market. The bear market to me is in once that top is made. That lower high is like the last chance to get gains, and then everyone feels the bear market. But if Bitcoin's top is in right now, I would say that Ethereum probably isn't going to run the way we thought it was going to run, just like we all would have thought that Ethereum would ran 30 days after Bitcoin, and in reality it didn't. It tapped the exact same day Bitcoin topped. So every cycle is different. It's when you feel that bear market, and that's the lower high. So nothing has created that. If 126 was the all-time high, we have to go back up and create a lower high. It will feel like the bull market's still in, but if that lower high prints, you will feel the bear market. You haven't felt anything yet. If you think this is the bear market, that's what you feel. Wait till you get that lower high.
Yeah,
and you'll see it really take place. Not to scare anybody, but that's just the reality.
That's good
And
stuff,
just to
man.
look at the monthly or the weekly, what are you saying when you say lower high?
All time frames.
What do you know? What
All time frames except for like a 3 month and 6 month. If you look at a 6 month bear Bitcoin chart, it's been creating higher lows and higher highs since its existence. The weekly and the monthly is where you can get that cycle within the cycle. So when people say super cycle, when you look at the 6 month chart, we've been in a super cycle since 2009 with Bitcoin, because all you're going to see on a 6 month chart is higher highs and higher lows. You bring it down to a weekly and a monthly chart, you can get cycles within cycles. So that's when you're getting your 4-year cycles within the 14-year cycle that we've had. Just like if you go to the daily, you'll see cycles within the cycle of the cycle. So like every small time frame literally leads up to the higher time frame at the end of the day. So right now, everything that I'm just talking about is the cycle within the cycle. So that's usually like the weekly and the monthly.
Do you like staying in on chain in anything else during a bear, or you prefer land and guns? Like, what's your bear? Where do you sit?
My bear will always be guns and ammo, man. That's gonna be worth more than anything. But realistically, I my own personal situation, I was looking to go more into real estate during this. I've got some, really pretty much I just got my house that I own and the condo. I was going to want to go outside the country this time around. I mean, I still can, but I choose, not to, because I didn't get the full gains that I wanted to get out of it. So I've got a goal to hit. Until I hit that goal, that's when I'll go to the next step. But right now, like it's one of those things where, I've got income on the side that can get to that if I want it to happen. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things. I'm not fully dependent on crypto as gains because I also have a wife that works also. So I've got money coming in, and at the same time we don't have any bills because I paid everything off. So that's the key level. If you make it and when you make it, pay everything off, and the bear market doesn't affect you as much.
Yep.
Very little, actually.
I got to go check your DM later.
Yep, well done.
That's solid advice. Gary, perhaps before you go, thank you for your advice about creating a quick video. It's in the Jumbotron right now. And if you are cruising this spaces and you're curious what pTGC and UFO are, you can click on that video, and it's a nice teaser for you. So thanks, Gary, for that suggestion.
That's really good. If you open up your space with that and point to it at the beginning and at the end of your show, especially since you guys do repeats. If you don't run it too long, like when people run 6, 7, 8 hour streams, I don't know, or whatever spaces, I can't find anything. But if you keep it relatively short and you make it, a commercial at the beginning and at the end of your space, I think you'll get a lot more eyes of passerbys.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah,
Anyways,
noted. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Good idea. Yeah, so we got to do that at the beginning. We got to put that video in the Jumbotron and tell the audience that it's there, because Gary's right. People will listen to the recording, and then actually, Mando, maybe you know this. Is that video in the recording that they can click on it? I'll have to.
You talking about? Yeah, I mean, you can click on it, you can watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yes, perfect.
Right. So we'll just do that earlier on in the space Monday, or attempt to.
Yeah, I mean, you should just pop that in the Jumbotron right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a good space. I think that, a lot of great information, a lot of good, talk. Love the transparency. I think the Graves protocol on Pulse Chain is self-evidently, for anyone who's not biased,
Bro.
it's becoming a beast on Pulse Chain.
I have a special list, let's call it that, on my deck screener of projects that, I keep an eye on. Although rah, like everybody gets all excited about this project and that project. Well, I put them in a list. And I usually cruise them on Saturdays. And yeah, dude, the tide has gone out this week on Pulse Chain. And there's at least one token that stands out that didn't get washed out with the tide.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, but I'm glad that the foundation here is built on a rock.
Yeah.
I mean, this protocol is literally selling their token down to sacrifice for stuff. Like, I'd be pissed.
Oh, are you talking about the other one?
No. There's other protocol. There's other coins that are literally selling down the price of their token to sacrifice.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure they're going to do something with their holders, maybe. I don't know, but like this sacrifice is just, it brings the stupid out of some people.
One thing that we have not talked about yet this week is, I'm going to call it a big happening that the Dow did on, I think it was on Tuesday evening, actually, where it burned 2 shark positions of pTGC. And it did it not?
No.
Okay, it bought it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It did do it did 2 buy and burns, I believe, in the last week. Both,
Okay.
One around 5,000, one around 10,000. But we did buy with the Dow. 2 shark positions. I think it was around 550 million pTGC tokens. Which, gosh, at this price, I think is 70, 80K or something. I'm guessing.
Just about that. Yep.
Yeah. So
at all-time high, that's over 600 grand.
Yes.
Yeah.
700 even, maybe.
Yeah. And then I think it's important to bring up what you were just saying, Banana, about when the tide goes out, there's certain projects that kind of stand out. And in my experience, it's not so much about when the tide goes out, you see the projects. When the tide is low, everything is sitting at the bottom of the ocean. You can't actually really tell what are sunken ships, what are just dead projects. Because
I don't agree with that, dude.
But when value flows back
Mando.
in, those ones that are dead there, they don't rise back up with the tide. It's the ones that have the proven fit, the battle tested ships that actually rise back up with the tide. Most of them just sit at the bottom of the oceans for the rest of existence.
Yeah.
But I think when you are at the low levels, and I get what you're saying, Mando, but this is my point, is when you're at the low levels, it actually kind of gives you a reset point to rotate the value that you have in the things that are not battle-tested sunken ships into the things that will actually rise in the next move up.
Well, let me give you an example of what I mean by this. So some of the biggest protocols on Pulse Chain just rugged their entire liquidity.
Yep.
They're not only is the charts gone, but the liquidity is gone too, right? Now, does that mean when Pulse Chain at some point turns around that the people that run those protocols won't give the protocols more integrity and put the LP back in, and that there's not life that was? No, we don't know that, right? We saw one of the biggest protocols as soon as the sacrifice was actually announced, basically just pulled all the liquidity. Why did they do that? Because they didn't want their token to get sold into with a bunch of liquidity so that they could swap it for ETH and sacrifice it. I made a big post about that the day before, and then all of a sudden it happened, right? There are some protocols that might come back. And so we don't know when the tide goes out or the tide comes in, out other than the fact of just those key indicators, right? pTGC and UFO, no liquidity has been pulled.
Yeah.
pTGC, UFO, market caps are still like UFO. I mean, it's just the ecosystem sitting at a very nice $40-something million market cap. Nothing has changed. It's buying up its token. It's burning the tokens. It's adding LP. It's doing everything that it always does, like it's just another day. That's not the same. You can't say the same thing about the other, in quotes, bigger projects on the chain. So that, to me, that's where you see the difference, right? When Prairie says when the tide goes out, you can feel it. Well, you can see right now that some boats, yeah, they look like they're toasted.
Yes.
But when the water comes back in, maybe they will float again.
Yep.
Maybe they won't.
Yes, that's true. Yep. I think we'll know at the top of the cycle whenever that happens, I guess. That would be the true test, wouldn't it?
My point is with the grays, it's just steady. You're not having those games played. You're not like, imagine being in one of those protocols and you had a bunch of money and all of a sudden all the liquidity's gone. That sucks. Because now you're basically just trapped.
Yes.
You don't know what decision to make. Imagine you sell and now you have to take major slippage hit. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, the market starts to go back up and they put the liquidity back in. You know? So you got to deal with all these extra mind games and shit.
Yeah. Look at Firewell. Firewell is probably the biggest player on Pulse Chain. There's two things that people don't realize in this ecosystem that you're also fighting against, trying to get into new protocols or new things that pTGC didn't have to because of when it launched. No one knew how to snipe Pulse Chain projects when pTGC was around. Nobody was doing it. Now everything gets sniped. So you're fighting with all the wallet watchers that are constantly sniping wallets, sniping projects in the beginning, only to rip them down after they go up. That can't be done with pTGC. Look at XGame. XGame was a perfect example of everyone just holding, waiting out so that Firewell puts $4.5 million into the chart, only for those who sniped the wallet to bring it down back to, what is that, $1 million right now? So now Firewell just feels defeated because he threw all this money into the protocol, but the people surrounding them that sniped the wallet and do that are bad actors. They did it with SolidX. They did it with whatever one starts with the A. Access token. You're seeing it with all these new protocols, and that's what I mean by when you guys say, "Hey, this one's just kind of just lasting." It's lasting because it was launched correctly, and the people that hold the token believe in the token, and anyone that comes out afterwards is just usually bad actors. And what I mean by bad actors, Most copycats are bad actors by association. Why? Because their motives literally is not their own motive. Their motive is to steal people from a different protocol. Think about if I'm creating a copycat or something, I want to take your people. I cannot create my own chart. I cannot create my own hype. I need to use them to create my token. So just by nature, they don't have what it takes to win in crypto, just in general, because they don't have the community building skills. They don't even have the right ability to do the right stuff at the right time, at the right place, and do it that way every single time. So that's the difference between pTGC and all these other protocols, is they weren't built right from the start, because not only that they have the right actors in it, they got people doing bad things from the beginning, whether it's from the developer themselves or the greedy people that they surround themselves with.
Yeah, that really sucks for Firewell, man, because I feel like he was really trying to build a really cool in real life thing there and just got obliterated, bro.
Oh, he spent a lot of money on it. Like, he got to the point where he's like, these guys are just, and the funny thing is, these are the people that you listen to, or you think they're good people, or you think this, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit, but the one guy that everyone hated on so much in the beginning of this whole thing is still standing.
A lot of us are, man. But yeah, it's been crazy. But guys, I think that it's, being in the grays is an amazing positive thing if you're on Pulse Chain. We're standing out like a light on the top of a hill, in my opinion. I think we're doing great. And regardless if we go up or down, I think that most of the people know what they hold with this if you're going to be on Pulse Chain. Where are we at, Zen?
We're on an hour and 45. So, I usually like to stop it at 2 hours. So we're like 15 minutes from that.
Okay, cool.
You got anything on YouTube, Banana?
No, there's nothing really on YouTube.
Couple new things. I'm making pretty good progress on the new site, guys. I know that's 6 months in the working, so hopefully that's coming pretty soon. Some good onboarding tools on there as well for our community that I'm super excited for. I think it's just a blessing that this product is coming out right at the bottom of Pulse Chain with pTGC at good ratios, and also Pulse Chain creating good dollar value entry points for onboarding in real life or from other blockchains. And I'm hoping that the new site helps our community really push at these low times, because we can cover a lot of ground at these levels that is not easy to cover. Doing X's against the blockchain, especially in this environment, is not a walk in the park. But with the code that we have, with the community that we have, with the product that we have, I think we can cover a lot of ground here, and it's going to make a world of a difference in the future for just a little bit of effort by the conglomerate of the community.
And I can tell you guys, I've seen the site, and I love it, Zen. I'm just going to tell you, I've texted this over to you. I am sincere when I say this. I think the new site is outstanding, and I think it's going to be an absolute delight for pTGC holders to cruise.
$1 million tokens is $137 right now.
$137 jig bag.
$137. At the top, what was that? What was that worth at the top?
About, what was it, 700?
$1,000 or something, like $1,000.
Yeah. So I just want to remind everybody, I think it would be fun for people who are in the community, if you are DGens on the chain, set aside a little something, whether it's 1,000 or $5,000 or something, and just make it your pTGC, trade $5,000 into 50,000 into pTGC, back, you can, that is a very practical way for people that are, active in degenning on Pulse Chain to pump pTGC in a quick minute. So that'd be kind of fun to see if, how we could do that in a fun way.
1 million tokens at our top, the previous all-time high. The all-time high was $1,359.
Yeah, $1,359. Yeah, and we have a lot of people that still are making good money on Pulse Chain. As crazy as it is, it's true. And you can just swap into pTGC with those gains, man. If you're gonna be on Pulse Chain and not in USD, for me, it's a great place to go. Not financial advice. I think that would, we could immediately see, like this week, we could immediately see a nice shift in the ratios in the uptrend.
Yeah, I think it's a unique opportunity that we have right now to not pool our liquidity, but have liquidity down at these low levels just due to reflexivity and Pulse Chain's value going down. And it would make no sense for us to not take advantage of this opportunity. We're a large project, and the fact that Pulse Chain is so down and it's making our liquidity smaller, it takes less value to pump our price against Pulse Chain at this level. In the future, it's going to cost quite a bit of money, so we might as well get those X's now while we're at these low levels where it doesn't take as much. Onboarding someone in real life isn't only better for the user at low levels, it's actually better for the protocol against the gas token at the low level as well, which makes it better for every single community member as well, not even just your onboard. It's just win-win situation. From the person you're onboarding or you DCAing to the community itself, because increasing the community size, increasing the value of the entire asset against the blockchain, and it's also the best for the asset as well to do those X's before the blockchain starts to move. So then we don't really need to worry about it later. Obviously, every time Pulse Chain has moved up, we've increased in X's over the blockchain during those time periods, because PLS moving up means value is flowing into Pulse Chain. Value flowing into Pulse Chain has made its way to pTGC and UFO in the past, giving us reflexivity over Pulse Chain. But why not get as many X's against Pulse Chain right now at this level? So even if we get additional X's later on, or anything, even if it's an even amount, all the heavy lifting is done at these low levels. There's one thing I was thinking about real quick while I'm on the thought. I'm actually surprised that Richard is giving the opportunity to like projects like Pulse pTGC to get so large on the chain before the chain goes. When you launch on a chain after it ran, 10, 20x, it makes it a lot more difficult to get so large because the chain's already done some of the easiest X's. But now that we're back at this level, it's actually giving us this unique opportunity that I actually shouldn't even think should exist. I actually don't even think Richard should let us have this opportunity. The opportunity's here right now. We shouldn't have this opportunity to get so large on chain.
Yeah, so right now, if you want to sell $100,000 of Pulse into USD, you're going to get 4% slippage. if you want to sell $100,000 of pTGC, it's 12%. So pTGC is so big that you're talking about a 3x in slippage, only a 3x in slippage over the entire pulse chain ecosystem in terms of LP. That's insane. B, what do you think about where RH won't allow the price to go? Because if you allow it to go too low, you just incentivize people to just buy up the price, take too much off the market too low, and now you've got more people to,
$10,000 for a billion pulse chain.
That's kind of like the cutoff, 10,000 per billion.
So 4
I
zeros.
mean, you going. I mean, right now 20,000 actually pretty low. So like, how much was it? What was the lowest you could buy? Let's say 10 million X for.
He is smart.
At the low.
He's on
I
top.
mean, how much? Was it like $1,000, Mando?
Let me look. You said 10 million?
Yeah, at the low. How much did it cost to buy 10 million Hex?
Probably like $500, bro. I mean, I'm talking about the low, bro. Like, but what people actually bought.
Like, let me rephrase that. The higher low. You know what that higher low was by any means? Because $20,000 for a billion pulses is pretty damn cheap.
That's pretty much where we're at right now.
Yeah,
so you're saying another 50%.
Like 10, 20. It's probably like here or maybe a one leg down lower, and that's about it.
I mean, you get $10,000. Like you're to be honest with you, even at the levels we're at, and you're talking about whales getting in and blah 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 blah. Like, it doesn't cost much to double their bag, like double your bag if you're down, a 2x. So it's like it's already so low. It's like, why are we just staying down here? It's almost like you just give people opportunity. And not even that, when people are making coins, they're making so much money because these guys are sniping the wallets. This is what a lot of people don't realize. These guys are sniping wallets
at the lows.
At the lows.
And you're going to have to buy
all they got to do is get 2% at a $2 million market cap, and then they'll dump the shit out, and they just got a billion tokens for like $50.
So this is what I was just talking about, B. I can't even believe that Richard's letting this blockchain sit at these prices right now because of that. Right, you're
giving the wrong people the wrong coins. You're giving the snipers. They got bad intentions.
And even like for projects with good intentions, like pTGC and UFO, we're now able to do a 10x over pulse chain at these low levels with only $3.5 million injected. It goes down another 50%. That it'll take like $1.5 million to do a 10x over pulse chain. So then when Pulse Chain ever decides to make its run, it has to drag up all of the people that, let's say Pulse Chain from that point does a 10x. Well, the people within pTGC would be up 100x.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I actually disagree with what, like what we talked about earlier and saying the things that I said. It's like
trying to shake people out.
It's like, it's not the way, like, shaking people. Everyone's already shaken out. We've been dealing with this for 4 years. Like, 2 years officially launched it if you sacrifice 4 years. So it's one of those things is like, you're really not shaking anyone out at this point. It's just like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, we shouldn't actually have this opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we're both agreeing on that. We shouldn't get this opportunity
to keep building up this protocol at this low of price or possibly lower of pulse chain. It's just
so
the
easy
opportunity is too good. The opportunity is too good to keep LP, like every transaction every day is adding to our LP with PLS at the bottom. Right now, Pulse Chain has sucked pTGC's market cap to super low levels. Well, we're buying and burning pTGC at super low levels. The longer it sits here, and even if it goes lower, it makes it to where we're absorbing so much of the value at these low levels. We're that much more of an ecosystem that has to be dragged around for the entire lifespan of Pulse Chain. ETH didn't really have to do this. Bitcoin didn't have to do this stuff because there's no smart contract and tokens on Bitcoin. But ETH didn't really have to do this either because there was no real projects built at the low point of ETH. The project started launching once ETH was already up like 100x. You get what I mean? So no one got to ride the first easy 100x of ETH. All the Hart's law and reflexivity that the smart contracts got from ETH was after the easy X's. We're like getting negative easy X's at this point. We're not even at the 3 zeros in one. We're at 4 zeros 2 right now. So not capitalizing as far as an ecosystem that has good intentions of Pulse Chain at these levels, like, dude, we need to do as many X's over Pulse Chain right now as possible because the amount of value it will take to do those X's in the future will be a lot of value we'll have to bring in.
Or, I mean, you got the DAO too. I mean, the DAO's a good thing, but it doesn't hurt to have it. It doesn't hurt to have it, naturally right now.
Well, no, it's not about that. It's about trying.
Well, the DAO will do it. The DAO will be generating more revenue. So I'm not saying we can't do the exits in the future, but the amount of value the DAO will have to spend when Pulse Chain's up
in order to do
will
that,
be
correct.
10 times the amount of money. So we're doing it now, we have to do 10 times less. If it goes down another 50%, it'll be like 20 times less.
And that's what I'm saying. The ability to gather 1 billion pulse for new projects, it's so easy. As the further down you go, it's like, why are we going down this low? Like, you're just basically saying your token's not worth jack shit. And, 1 billion tokens is not even that special anymore. So it was hard to get 1 billion tokens. Even for the average person, it's hard to get 1 billion tokens now. Like, not everyone can afford $22,000 per billion tokens. Now everyone can do the same thing at $10,000. But what happens is you bring in the wrong crowd of people that can, do a couple billion. And if you're worried about your, rectums and people like that now, well, you're just adding to the amount of people you have to worry about later. So I think that number, going any lower than where we're at now, below 20,000, you're going to be fighting danger.
Yeah, and if it goes lower, obviously our system can do what we can do, with value generation daily to keep our ecosystem growing, thriving, but capitalizing on discounted prices of a blockchain because if we believe the blockchain eventually will have the successful run that we believe it should, we're becoming that much larger. We're already pretty large, but imagine if we're able to become twice the size because of this second, all-time low.
Here's another thing. Guys, imagine all of a sudden you had a super pump, right? And it just never went back down. All of the people that had legitimate protocols that pulled their LPs, if it doesn't go back down, you have to spend that much more money to get that much LP in now.
Whoa. Shoot,
That's
man.
the issue. And imagine right now, for everything that we thought is legit, they pulled all their LPs. All of a sudden, it goes up. They've missed that window. Now they got to put that much more capital in to have what they already had before.
Yeah, I'm looking at these low levels right now as just a great spot to just keep onboarding in real life people to pTGC and UFO. Just an opportunity that we probably shouldn't even have again, but we do. And we need to get the most out of it. And what we've found in the past, every time pTGC has done massive moves, the strongest holders of pTGC are obviously the convicted community members and in real life holders that we've actually onboarded throughout the last 2 years. So obviously we want to keep finding and keep bringing in the convicted believers that believe in the protocol long term, but also the in real life users as well turn into pretty good community members.
Yeah, and you can buy 50 million pTGC right now and under 1% slippage. That's about a $7,000 purchase. So if you're bringing somebody in new, $7,000, they're gonna pay less than 1% slippage on
that. Okay. There is a question on YouTube. Moore Wealth asks, is it possible for pTGC to super pop? Meaning, if Pulse Chain goes up 10%, pTGC could go up 100% since Pulse Chain is so low.
That would be based on just user demand or our protocol having a lot of volume and then doing buy and burns or the automated features doing the buy and burns. But when Pulse Chain goes up 10%, if we have 0 buys and 0 sells, we just get dragged up 10% due to ratios. For us to do those X's or that reflexivity more than that, we either need other assets in our liquidity web to move up more than Pulse Chain or specific demand on our product, either humans or mechanical demand from our features. It's possible. We've done it in the past.
Yeah.
But it's, obviously dependent on other variables that are worth noting. Human demand, mechanical demand, our in real life marketing strategy, etc. But we've done 50x multiple times when Pulse Chain's done 5x, and you don't get those numbers by not having those kind of days or those weeks where Pulse Chain moves up 10%, we move up.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely yes, 100%.
Yeah,
it's already happened. We've shown everyone that has tried to say that we went up because of PDI, we went up because of Pulse Chain, we went up because of this protocol. That's all false information. Last week we talked about it. Look at the 2024 charts; it'll tell you everything. Everything topped in December of 2024. We topped in February of 2025. So you'll see PDI top, you'll see Teddy Bear top, you'll see Pulse Chain top, you'll see PulseX top, you'll see Hex top, and pTGC was the only one that topped 2 months later. Those are the facts. And yes, we can actually keep going while everything else isn't going because it's already been done. What that shows is everybody was paying attention to pTGC, and everybody likely swapped out of their tokens on those protocols into pTGC. That's literally all that chart shows. So anyone that talks down about it or is talking against it or don't like it or says this, and that, they're probably swapping also.
Got a question. This is in general question. If somebody asked you if you want to try and swing trade on Pulse Chain right now, and just make $100 a pop or something like that, nothing big, you don't have to bet the farm to buy a farm concept, laws of meme coins. What would you tell somebody is the safest, best way to just swing trade in the current environment?
We're not swinging enough to swing trade $100 for anything good right now. What's the time period? Because we're not.
I'm literally talking about when you got $50 in profit, you take it off the table. I'm talking about literal shitcoin swing trade.
I mean, the problem is you would have to go after like new launches. Like nothing is really swinging back and forth to swing trade. Swing trade to me would be like pulse chains going from 4 zeros and a 2 up to 4 zeros and a 4, and it's an accumulation phase going back and forth. That's a swing trade. So you can buy $100 at 4 zeros and a 2. It goes up to $100 at 4 zeros and 4. You sell it. It goes back to 4 zeros and 2. You buy it. It goes back to 404. You sell it. So that's what swing trading is. If you don't have that movement back and forth, you're not really swing trading. You're kind of long-term investing, buying into coins, waiting for the trade.
So you don't even see currently on chain an environment where you have enough volatility in an asset class to just get in and get out with $1,000 a pop to make 50.
No, you would have to risk yourself with new launches, and good luck with that, because 9 out of 10 things that launch on pump.tires dies right away. So that's not swing trading. That's just scalping.
Okay, so there's one category, the scalper category. So you got to be willing to do the cabal pump.tire pump in and out dump.
Yes, that's scalping trades. Swing trading is you have to be volatile. If you're not volatile, or you're only going in one direction, or you're standing still is not swing trade. You can't swing trade if coins are chilling. And if it's going down, you can't swing trade it because that ain't doing you no good, because you're just losing money. You have to have volatility both up and down to be doing swing trading. So if you want to do it, I would do like a wrap Bitcoin. You got wrap Bitcoin on the train, so like that's volatile because Bitcoin's going back and forth. Ethereum's kind of going back and forth, but you're gonna have to do little transactions in order to do that. To make $100, you're not gonna be able to double your money on that, but you can definitely.
No, I'm not even talking about doubling money, man. I'm talking about you enter with 1,000, you try to make 100, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now I would say on Pulse Chain, wrap Bitcoin or Ethereum money.
What about BNB?
There's BNB on here?
Yeah, there's about a $60,000 pool.
Let me look at the BNB chart. 24 hours? No, that's not. Lately, it hasn't been doing anything. It's just been going down lately, so I wouldn't do swing trade now.
Well, it's all been going down lately.
Yeah, but Ethereum and Bitcoin has been going back and forth for the most part. Like you've been able to do some swing trades on Ethereum and Bitcoin for sure. I wouldn't do Pulse Chain.
Okay, so I do see an 18% shift in 4 days on BNB. But so you're talking things that are not correlated with Pulse. So it's either scalping, which I actually like that term because that's like the most lowest form denominator of degenning on ever created possible. Scalping.
Like you are the G of G's.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know that. You're the lowest level of G. Like you are the people. You're the person you hate. But that's what you gotta become. That's what you want to do. If you're doing it to make money, that's what you do. So you can't be mad if what scalpers do. Scalpers also get the most mad because they'll scalp and then the coin will keep going.
Pumped on tires.
Same thing with a swing trader. Sooner or later, that accumulation phase goes away, and when it does, it's going to go either one way or the other, to the upside or the downside. So it accumulates, and once it's done accumulating, it'll go into a nice little tight frame, And then most people that are swing trading don't even pay attention. They just continuously swing trade back and forth until they get comfortable. And then it'll either go to the upside, they'll be on the wrong side, hoping that it'll come back down. It never does. Or you'll be in the trade and it just crashes down, and then you'll lose all the money that you made. So, that's the downside with swing trading. It gets you very comfortable making that amount over and over and over and over again, to where it really just like paralyzes you in your position. Wrecked.
So what about on ETH or Solana? If you went off Pulse Chain currently right now, is the environment better on ETH or Solana? Do you know?
For what? Just in general of just buying coins?
Don't bet the farm to buy a farm. Start with $1,000. Try to turn it.
Nah, base is where it's at right now. It's not Solana.
Base? Okay.
Base has all the AI and the utility and the AI plays and stuff like that. The virtuals, the agents, they're all on base. Solana is kind of still riding the pump fun and just wreck degens. Like, there's really not much going on with Solana right now. For a while, it hasn't been anyways. Base is taking over.
Have you ever shitcoined or participated in the pump fund launches? Like, you get in early and then just sell before it bonds?
No, I don't waste my time with doing all that.
Okay.
There's not enough money. Like, it's just to me, it's just a waste of time doing all that. That's just me. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has different portfolios, but like, for me to put in, 20 million pulse and make 10 million pulse, like, I'm just wasting my time. I ain't got time for that.
VP Lit asks on YouTube, he says, does it make sense to create a larger pool with Ethereum to diversify outside of Pulse Chain?
I think so.
100%.
Timing has to be right.
100%. Timing has to be right for that, but that's 100%.
I mean, if I knew like the bear market was in, I would say, put all the Pulse Chain that we get into USDC, let the bottom happen, and then buy it all at once.
Yo, yeah.
And then go that route. But, doing it now, like,
yeah,
you just get, I would like to see confirmation before you even say something like that. And then confirmation is going to consist of being patient with USDC. It's the one thing most people can't do. They always got to be in something. They always got to be in a trade. That's the hardest thing for people to do is be anxious. It's most people think the best thing to do is always be in a trade. That's not true. Sometimes the best thing is not to be in a trade.
Yep.
But no point in knowing you're in a bear market and just keep collecting Pulse or Ethereum or wrap Bitcoin or whatever it is you want to get into going down.
No, let that shit
the smart people buy uptrends, not downtrends. Stupid people buy downtrends.
Yeah.
100%. You just protect that revenue until that shit bottoms.
The guy that says DCA, like they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Now, if you're like in a job and you're 401k, you don't have a choice, then yeah, that's DCA. But like, if you're just like collecting because we're in a bear market and like, why would you keep buying knowing that it's going to go lower for a whole year, 6 months to a year? Like, no, you save up your dollars, you change it over from Pulse Chain to USDC, do that every single day, and then when you see close to a bottom or a bottom happen, then you buy in.
Mm-hmm.
And then start DCA as it goes up.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That way your money can turn into something, not dwindle from something.
Yeah. What are you guys using for a portfolio tracker? Like, if I just wanted to put in my address and see what the value of the tokens are for Pulse Chain.
CoinGecko. And if you're not good enough to be on CoinGecko, you're probably in the wrong coin. If you don't know how to get on CoinGecko, you're probably messing with the wrong developer.
So I can check my Pulse Chain assets from my wallet that are on my wallet in CoinGecko.
Right now, my CoinGecko app has pTGC, Pulse Chain, Hexon ETH, Hexon Pulse Chain, UFO, Teddy.
Cool.
And Teddy Bear and Pete Eye is only on there because I got it on there.
Cool. I'm checking it out. Thanks.
And also does charts. It shows you like all-time high from like when since you had it. Gives you your holdings. You know, obviously like your PCGC and your UFO holdings, you're gonna have to update it because it's not gonna count with, you know, from the wallet. So you do have to add it, you know. So I usually do that once a week or once a month. But yeah, if you're on the Pulse Chain and the coin's not on CoinGecko, you're probably dealing with a noob developer, and that developer is probably not going to take you places.
True. That is true. I mean, if I wanted to check the DAO funds, if I wanted to plug the DAO, because I was plugging it into Pulsefolio, but now apparently you got to subscribe to Pulsefolio to do that. So I was looking for a place I could check real quick.
When did that happen? Because like in the last 12 hours, Banana?
Yeah, they made a subscriber. They wiped out anything that you had on there, like with cookies, and now you have to like subscribe.
But you can't search a wallet and just see what's in that wallet?
Right. You cannot. Yep. It says track like a. This is Pulsefolio Pro.
What about the Pulse Chain Stats, the new pulsechainstats.com website?
I heard they just finally got theirs released. Their portfolio tracker. I haven't tried it yet.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. Load portfolio. Yeah, I just wanted to see the DAO funds real quick. There we go. That works. Pulsechainstats.com works.
Yeah, that won't work for CoinGecko. Then. CoinGecko is like more like manual.
Okay.
So like if I buy a coin, I'll put it manually in there so I can see it go up, go down, swing up, swing down. So it's just a simple bring the app up, pump it up, but I manually have to enter that stuff in. But the UI in it is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I'm pretty ready to shut it down. Been going for 3.5 hours almost.
Really? I thought I just asked, and it was like 2 hours.
I know I did the math wrong.
Holy shit! All right.
Yeah, for some reason I was looking at like we started at 8 a.m. and we started at 7 a.m. So we've been going for 3.5 hours almost.
That's pretty bullish. It's bullish for Pulse Chain. Talking for 3.5 hours, man. Yeah, I'm with you, Zen. I'm ready.
I'm gonna start a little I'm gonna start a little $1,000 wallet and see how much pTGC I can get in that wallet. That's what I'm gonna do.
You go, man.
I'm gonna do my little fund, $1,000 to freaking millions of pTGC. See what I can.
Share your trades, man.
Nah, I ain't gonna share my trades. You want to subscribe to the
Subscribe to the Mando.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Here comes Ultra Jeep. Jeep Manda's in town.
Ultra, bro, you know
Not the
damn
Jeep
well.
get charged to death.
I'm the opposite of the old.
Playing the pump tires.
About the Jeep. About the Jeep.
I'm gonna launch the token. It's gonna be called Scalp, bro. Straight up.
Man, this is gonna get freaking They're going to scalp the scalper.
Everybody go in to pump that tire for scalp right before it bonds. Blah! They just get the jump with your ass on. No, I'm just playing.
No, you're not.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right. See ya. All right. Spaces, man. I didn't get tired. I really didn't get too tired. How many people are on YouTube here? I'm going to check real quick. 25. I think we had 31 at the top. Good job, guys. Good job. Hey, like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Thank you, Paula Gowan. I appreciate your support. I'm sure you appreciated mine. Yeah, we're not on Spaces anymore. So this is just us. We're going to put the brakes on conversation like that. You know, it's not necessary. I don't think it's necessary at all. I mean, I delete negative stuff in Telegram. And why should I put up with it? On Twitter too, delete. Oh man, considering where we are going, there's a little constructive feedback, but you can go over the top. And I think we've been doing that a little bit. So we're not going to do that no more. I mean, I don't know how to put it. And I'm just one guy. I'll try to put a stop to it. And I think I got the founders backing on it. So yeah. You know what would solve a lot of that is green candles. So we got to get to that point. And I personally think we're going there. Apologies for getting a little opinionated there, PB. No, I don't think so. I don't mind. I just have some strong feelings about certain OG types flapping negative lips over and over again. Criticism should be kept constructive. Yes. And private, as you stated. It should be kept private behind closed doors. Dude, we got baby pulse chain people coming in, maybe some baby crypto people coming in. It's not the place for those, those people get exposed to that kind of negativity, especially about the founder of the chain they're looking at. Yeah, that's not acceptable. But we can have that conversation privately. All right, enough about that. Guys, go have a Saturday. See y'all later.